Well, in addition to those of you here at Prescott Hill Climb, I can say welcome now as well to those following the action on the live stream. And glad you can join us. If you've just watched the opening video, you'll have some idea of the wonderful, wonderful machinery that we have here at Prescott today. And also again tomorrow, of course. We'll be getting the action underway very shortly, starting with some demonstration runs by some very special machinery indeed, and then we'll be getting into the timed competitive runs after that. Just a couple of minutes away now from the start of the action. The live action being shown, of course, on HillClimb.TV. So if you're here at Prescott, but you know people who haven't been able to make it today, but would be like to be able to see what's going on, then you might want to message them and let them know they could be watching it now on HillClimb.TV. Well, I can tell you the winners of the raffle for a ride up the hill in one of the cars, and you have 20 minutes to go and claim that prize if you hold the winning ticket. And the first winner, who will get the first choice of car to go up the hill in, and that is ticket number 10 on blue. So a blue ticket, ticket number 10. And the second ride will go to the holder of yellow ticket 498. Yellow ticket 498. So those are the two tickets that have won. Congratulations to you. Thank you to everyone who has supported the raffle. The funds going to Friends of Prescott to support activities here. And if you have one of those two winning tickets, then head towards the Friends of Prescott area in the stand. Buy the cars that are available for rides. Do that now. Nice to have some hello messages from around the world. One from California, by the looks of it, from Brent Johnson. Thanks, Brent. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Somebody commented, it's a nice day for it. It certainly is. We've been very fortunate so far with the weather. Let's hope it stays this way all weekend. Well, the clerk of the course has done his run, I think, to check the hill is ready for action, and we should be able to open the hill very soon. I can hear engines in the background in the paddock starting up, and as I say, it will be those demonstration runs which will start things off. So, sound noise level begins to rise. Hello to you if you're watching from the Channel Islands, from Jersey. Got your own wonderful hill climb course over there, of course. And it is the truly amazing 16-cylinder, 1.5 litre BRM that does the first demonstration run. It looks like he might unfortunately have a problem because the engine is cut out almost as soon as he goes over the line for that wonderful, wonderful little V16 engine. Supercharged, 1.5 litres, built by British Racing Motors, of course, to compete in Formula 1. It raced, I think, around about 1950 first of all, through to about 55. Produced 600 horsepower at 12,000 RPM. Unfortunately, not willing to do that today because it stopped almost as soon as it crossed the line, and the marshals are quickly out to check on it, see what they can do to help. Hopefully, it's not leaking anything. It was leaking. Didn't do a demonstration run before lunch because it was leaking oil in the paddock, so let's hope that we haven't had a repeat of that on the hill. I don't think we have, but we'll see in just a moment. Ironically, one of the issues it had in period was reliability. A very, very complex engine. That parts must almost be like parts in a watch, I should think. Just 1.5 litres split between 16 cylinders. Must be very small indeed, many of those parts, I assume. And never really enjoyed that much success, but few of the cars being built to the original specification at the moment. So the BRM V16 drops back into the paddock. We are clear, I think. Doesn't look like there's anything being dropped on track, so we should have another demonstration run, hopefully a slightly longer one from the next car any moment now. And I hear the sound of engines firing up. The red flags are taken in to say the hill is clear for more runs. And out comes the amazing Cooper T90 Formula 5000 car that was built, the last cars that Cooper built, in fact. It's father and son Charles and John Cooper who ran the company. And that beautiful, beautiful 5-litre V8 powered machine heading up the hill. It's actually run by privateers in the European Formula 5000 Championship rather than a works team, after Cooper basically stopped racing. Just getting right to the edge of the track there, but safely around, goes around semi under the finish line, and we're ready for our next demonstration run. And it is the McLaren ex-Nicky Lauda, sorry, not McLaren at all, the ex-Nicky Lauda BRM that goes under the bridge now. Immaculate looking machine. V12 engine powering it up. It goes around Pardon on up into the S's. And he goes under the finish line, another run successfully completed. Goes the Bugatti. I'm being thrown through some of the corners. Through the S's. And around semi on up to the line. I think we have at least one more demonstration to run. And this is the Jedi #1, the very first Jedi ever built. Jedi who are celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. For the, particularly the small engines, often motorcycle engine machines. They run their own championship, the Formula 600 series. Lots of Jedis have competed in hill climbing over the years. I guess carries on the tradition that was started with the 500cc Formula 3 cars, such as the Coopers and the Kiefts. And now we are on to the competitive vehicles. First of those is going to be Jeremy Rivers Fletcher, car number 44, competing in the Bugatti Owners Club FASI Classic Sports Championship, Classic Speed Championship, sorry. Change of car for Jeremy, the car that he was originally due out in. The Buckler Bellamy Special, it's 675, but this is the Triumph Special that he is running in place of that now. It's a 2.5 litre Triumph Special. It's into Pardon. On through the S's to midway. And the final corner, hanging the tail out nicely as he goes through there, over the line to set a time of 56.29 seconds. That's the time to beat for the other FASI Classic Speed Championship contenders. We now move to car number 46, which is the Chrysler Sunbeam 1600cc machine of Clive Berry. And away he goes then, the Sunbeam 1600 Ti. Sort of warm hatch version, hot hatch version was the Lotus Sunbeam. Heads round towards Ettores. It's a challenging right hand hairpin, then it's off up to the left hand hairpin at Pardon. Looks as if he's setting, well, quite a quick time at the moment. The purple band suggesting that he's quickest to date, as away goes the Triumph Vitesse. Alistair Clark there in the Mark II Vitesse, car number 20. As Clive Berry does a 58.32. On the line now is John Barber in the Fiat Abarth 850 TC. Nürburgring. Rear engine compartment propped open as is normal with these little Fiats. So Alistair Clark going well at the moment in the Vitesse. All purple times to date. John Barber rather going quickly as well. Alistair Clark goes over the line with a 62.26. John Barber just dropped a little bit of time, I think, on his previous best, as Mark Clark gets away in the Austin Mini. Shown as quickest in his class so far with a 62.26. John Barber does a 64.58 as Matt Clark in the Mini heads on up the hill. We've also got Martin Saunders in his Mark I Escort out there at the moment. What time can Matt Clark do as he comes towards the line now? And he is quickest in class with a 50.50, so quickest by quite some way as we follow the Escort of Martin Saunders his way up the hill. Coming off the line now, Ian Stringer in the Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint GT. Ian car number 25. Saunders getting close. He's not going to better the time of Matt Clark, but he does a 53.14. And pardon goes Ian Stringer in the Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint GT. As off the line goes Simon Braithwaite in his Escort RS 1600. So the replica livery of the car that Russell Brooks used on the RAC Rally, and one of its guises, I'm not sure it was the Network Q in those days, it might have been the Daily Mirror RAC Rally, I don't know. Didn't finish the that particular event. Ian Stringer's time was a 54.34. Ford Anglia of Dave Parr on the hill at the moment. Simon Braithwaite goes quickest in class with a 50.11. Off the line goes Lee Carter in the Fiat 695 SS Abarth as the Anglia goes around that left-hand hairpin on up the hill. 105E model Ford Anglia. Lee Carter, as I say, in the Abarth again with the boot, the engine compartment propped up at the back of the car. Dave Parr's time in the Anglia, 56.09. As the Fiat continues on up the hill. Don't think he's going to challenge the cars in the class at the moment. As Andrew Clark continues to make his way up in the Alfa Romeo GTV. Lee Carter does a 68.11, and Andrew Caney is on the hill as well in his Hillman Imp, as Andrew Clark goes round in the Alfa Romeo. Very, very clean looking Imp of Andrew Caney. 1020cc, that little Imp. Built of course to compete with the Mini in its day. As Andrew Clark registers a 61.37. Ryan Eamer gets off the line in his Hoston Healy Frog Eye Sprite. Andrew Kearney fifth quickest with a 55.04 as around the Torres goes Ryan Eamer in the Frog Eye Sprite. A little bit of a lock up into the left-hander there. I don't think it will have cost him too much time. Ted Elways gets away in the MGA. Ema pressing on. Don't think he's going to get into the 52nd bracket though. Oh, is he? No. 52.11. So he's quickest in his class, in the sports car class. Of course, he sets the benchmark for everybody else. Stephen Akers gets away in the Lotus Elan Series 1. What about Ted Delwes in the MGA? Man who knows this hill well. 52.11 the time to beat. Probably not going to do that now. Stephen Akers heads out to Torres, not up to Pardon. Ted Elwes time of 57.78. Ben Cross comes under the bridge in the MG Midget. It's car number 35, of course, Ben Cross coming out of Torres. Stephen Akers' time of 55.84 moves him to second in class. David Fripp about to go off the line in the Fiat 124 Spider. Ben Cross was quick on the first off the line, but has slipped back a little bit since then. Trip in Fiat 124 Spider rounds Torres. Steve Norris waits on the start line in the MGB Roadster. Ben Cross does a 52.61, so exactly half a second behind Ryan Eamer, and in second place in the class at the moment. As the Fiat Spider carries on up the hill, and Steve Norris is on his way as well in the MGB Roadster. Not going to challenge the leaders in the Fiat as he comes up to the line, and it will be a 59.48 for David as the MGB is out of Torres and into Pardon. Just getting off the line, Gary Cox in the Reliant Scimitar Coupe with a Ford V6 engine under the bonnet, 3 litres of power for that Reliant. Somewhat different for the from the 3-wheeler Reliant Robbins that the same company built, of course. Stephen Norris not going to trouble the front runners in the class. But Gary Cox is going well so far. And Stephen Norris's time is a 67.46. As another MG Roadster gets off the line, this time it's Robert Orford. And another Reliant Scimitar Coupe comes up to the line, and that is Terence Cox. What about Gary Cox? What can he do? It looks like a good time for the Scimitar. He's quickest in class, 49.91. As Robert Orford pushes on in the MGB. And Terence Cox gets away in his Reliant Scimitar. Continuing to push on. What can he do? He's not going to be fastest in class. A 54.03 puts him 4th fastest at the moment as Terence Cox continues on his way. So far he isn't quite managing to match Gary Cox's intermediate times as the nimble little Ginetta G15 of Oliver Slater gets off the line. Terence Cox certainly not going to match the fastest time as we see the Ginetta going around at Torres. And Terence's time of 58.19, 7th in class at the moment. We go to the sports racing cars in a moment because Ben Fisher is on the hill now in the Malek Mark 11. Oliver Slater in that little Ginetta, just 998cc, presumably a Hillman Imp engine. That's what most of the early Ginettas used for power. And he records, well, I thought he'd reached the line, but he hasn't done. In fact, Ben Fisher going well. Peter Thurston is on his way up in the Mark IV Malek, very different looking machine to the Mark 11. We have a red flag on the hill at the moment. Not quite sure yet what the reason for that is. Well, it's a trip off onto the grass coming out of Pardon now for the Malek. Might have dragged, that's Ben Fisher, might have dragged some grass possibly out onto the track. Perhaps, yeah, Marshall's out sweeping, clearing up there, and Peter Thurston's run has been stopped. He'll have to have a rerun in the Mark IV Malek. Time for Phil Fisher, despite that off-course excursion of 51.69. So the red flags, nice, it was Peter Thurston who got the got his one stop, was red flagged. On the line at the moment is Jeremy Rivers Fletcher in that Triumph Special 2.5 litre single seater. Replacement for the Buckler Bellamy, which he used to set fastest time in his class at this meeting last year, in fact, but presumably not ready to climb the hill today, so he's out in the Triumph Special. Instead, away he goes off the line. One of the two driver sports cars will be next up after him. Paul Emo in the Austin Healey Sprite car 731, who's off the line now. Rivers Fletcher, by the looks of it, a little bit slower possibly than Bill Fisher was, as we see Paul Emo in his Healey Sprite. So time for Jeremy Rivers Fletcher, 54.73 seconds. Clive Berry gets off the line in his Chrysler Sunbeam 1600 Ti. Heads up into Historique. Neat line around there for the saloon car. Christopher Dew on his way in the Alfa Romeo Sprint Veloce. And away goes Nick Allen in the Austin 7 Chelsea Special. Barry Cox's time 58.88. Sorry, Clive Barry's time 58.88. Nick Allen makes his way around Dettori's in true Austin 7 Special style, leaning out to the side, and then just hanging the tail out as he comes out of Pardon on up the hill. Darren Archambault in his Austin 7 Special is also on the hill now. Looks like a good run for Colin Danks so far in car 53, the Austin 7 Ulster, as Darren Archambault does a 65.38. So Nick Allen quickest in class at the moment with his 58.26. Edward Tyack is on the hill in his special, number 56, as under the finish banner goes Colin Danks, and he is quickest so far with a 56.78. As Edward Tyack throwing the car around Ettores. Nick Turley sits on the line in his single-seater Austin 7 special. Isn't going to match Colin Danks' time though. Edward Tyack, Nick Turley gets off the line now. Car number 52. As up to the line comes car 54. A 70.97 for Edward Tyack. Nick Turley heads around Ettores in that nice looking 52 car. As Graham Beckett gets off the line in the Austin 7 Simplicity. Graham Beckett then into Ettores around the right hand hairpin. Road registered Austin 7 Simplicity. Robert Barbett in his Austin Sports is just about to leave the line. Nick Turley does a 66.99, which currently puts him in 4th place in this class. I think he will be beaten by Graham Beckett. That looks like what we'll see. Robert Barbett heads around the Ettores hairpin, car number 55. On up the hill he goes. In fact, it's a 69.97 for Graham Beckett, puts him 5th in class at the moment. As away goes Terry Griffin. Up the line comes the 2-driver Mallock Mark 11. Car 742 is Ben Fisher in that car. Terry Griffin into Ettores, powers away from there. Heads on up to the left-hander. Robert Barbett's time of 69.01 puts him into 5th place, just ahead of Graham Beckett. As Julia Wolstenholme brings her Austin EA Sports up to the line. Terry Griffin making his way through the S's and on up. Nobody at the moment looks like they're going to threaten. Well, Ben Fisher actually has just put in a quick time on higher up the hill. Of course, he's running in the Mallock, so he's running. We're back to the Fassi Classic Speed Championship cars with him. And Ben Fisher goes quickest in his class with a 49.65. Beats Phil Fisher by 2 seconds. And we're back to the Burt Hadley Memorial Championship for the Austin 7 base machinery with Julia Wolstenholme. Still it is Colin Danks who leads the class. Shirley Tull is also on the hill in her Austin 7 special. And Donald Skelton in the Austin Ulster waits on the line. Away goes Donald Skelton then. Julia Wolstenholme does a 70.40. And the earlier Mallock comes up to the line now. That's the number 43 machine of Peter Thurston, the Mark IV Malik U2. As Donald Skelton rounds Torres in the number 61 car. Away then goes Peter Thurston. Shirley Tell's time 75.43. As the Harlequin replica car number 62 comes up to the line. That's Clive Danks in that Austin TT. This is Colin Danks who leads the class. Now we have Clive Danks out there as well. And we have a red flag, I think. Yep, we've got a car stopped on the hill, and that is the 43 machine of Peter Thurston, Mark IV Malik. Unfortunately for him, he's got a problem. He was quick on the first section of the hill, so that is a real shame for Peter. Clive Danks is left sitting on the start line. A fail for Peter Thurston. He brought out the red flag, so he won't get a rerun for his first run, but will be able to take his second run. He's coming straight back down the hill by the looks of it. Once he's down and clear of the hill, then Clive Danks will be able to get on his way in that Austin TT Harlequin replica. Still a few more of the contenders in the Burt Hadley Memorial Championship lining up for their run. After them we should see the Lotuses out in the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. Plenty more cars to come in this first timed run, and there will be a second timed run as well, of course, all being well. So the red flags are in, I think. And away goes Clive in this Austin TT as the line is approached by the number 63 machine. And that's Claire Moody in the Austin 7 Ulster replica. Clive Banks coming up towards the Torres at the moment, number 62 car. Heading on up towards Pardon. Now as off the line goes Claire. And up the line comes number 64, Joel Millard in the Austin 7 Hamlin. Looking much more, well, rather more like a racing car than the sports cars that the others resemble. As Claire comes up to a Torres. Slide around there. Away goes Gerald. Clive Danks still on the hill at the moment. And the red flags come out because I think, I'm not sure whether Clive prompted the red flag or whether he was stopped by the red flag. Well, we've got a car stopped just shy of the finish line, which is the 62 machine. That is Clive Danks, so it was Claire Moody that we saw being red flagged. Clive Banks was getting slower and slower and just couldn't quite get to the finish line. He's stopped almost within feet of the finish barrier, unfortunately, but that has prompted, well, two cars I think will have to have reruns. That's 63 Claire Moody and 64 Joel Millard. Meanwhile on the line it is 65 Nick Pearson in his Austin 7. Just a couple more of the Austin 7-based machines competing in the Bert Hadley Memorial Championship to come. So it is a fail for Clive Danks. There'll be a rerun for Claire Moody, and there will be a rerun for Gerald Malord. But still work to be done to recover the 62 car of Clive Danks, that Austin TT Harlequin replica. As I said, next up it should then be the Paul Matty Lotus Championship contenders, and we should see the ERA register, the three wonderful ERAs that we have, then the Bugattis, after which it's the TR register for the Triumph cars, Healy Sports, and the single-seaters, the 500 Owners Association, and rounding things off, the Bugatti Owners Club members and all-comers handicap. As we see cars heading back down the hill now, then some for reruns. So the first of those cars heading into the paddock. So the 63 machine now heading back down the hill, that's Claire Moody. I'm not sure if Clive Danks is going to be able to roll down the hill, or are they just turning the car around. In fact, the 62 machine of Clive. Marshals there. Thanks as always to all our marshals for the work that they do, and it looks like Clive is going to rely on gravity to get back home after whatever problems he struck going up the hill. Once he's off, we can start things all over again. So as I say, it'll be a fail for Clive Danks, unfortunately, but reruns for Claire Moody and for Gerald Malord. So we continue to wait then for all the cars to make their way back into the paddock, and then Nick Pearson will start things again. I think that is, yeah, that's the Clive Danks car that's just taken the old short circuit, the circuit that the Vintage Sports Car Club will use in early August. They had a 2-day meeting on that, what was the original circuit before the Ettores Loop was built back in around about 1960. one car into the paddock. I think that is everybody in now. So red flags should be coming in fairly shortly, I think. So red flag still out higher up the hill at the moment. Marshals, I think, probably just doing a little bit of track clearance work before we can, the flags can come in, which they're about to do. Flags start to come in, then the message works its way down the hill, and the hill is open once again. It will be Nick Pearson then, car 65, who restarts things, sits on the start line. And away goes Nick. Up to the line will come car number 66. Paul Gearing in the Austin 7 Pigsty Special. There's the badges of the 750 Motor Club that was formed originally to cater for cars based on the Austin 7. And later there was a Formula 750 that used the Reliant Robin 750cc engine. As away then goes Paul Gearing. Nick Pearson further up the hill, making his way up. And the two-driver car that comes to the line now, Matthew Harvey in 756, which he shares with Edward Tyre, the Austin 7 Special. Paul Gearing looks to be pushing on up the hill in his Pigsty Special. 71.17 meanwhile for Nick Pearson. The finish line then comes Paul Gearing, 60.20, puts him third in class at the moment. Harvey makes his way around pardon, and Claire Moody on her rerun has left the line. And that's Matthew. I thought he might have had a problem there. He didn't seem to be going that quickly, to be honest, but he is still, in fact, is still pushing on by the looks of it. Away has gone Joe Malord. As Matthew Harvey does an 82.21, and we're about to move on to the Paul Matty Lotus Championship contenders. Steve Millwood, Joe Malord rounds Ettores. Steve Millwood in the Lotus Elan Series 3 car number 70 that waits on the line currently. Moody coming towards the finish line. Does a 73.63. Steve Millwood is on his way. And after the Lotus Elan Series 3, we get a rather newer Lotus Exige onto the line. Christopher Dowell, car 71, as the Elan rounds Ettores. And away goes Christopher Dowell. Joe Malloy's time is 69.50, puts him 9th in class after the first run. Car 77 on the line is the Lotus Elise of John Palmer. Away then goes John in that Elise. Steve Millward records a 57.90. And Christopher Dell better that. John Palmer's on his way around Historique now in the number 77 Elise. And it is Christopher Dell who takes the lead in the class with a 55.03. That's the time for John Palmer to better as Keith Wilford gets off the line in car number 78, Lotus Elan Sprint. Keith Wilford rounding Historique in the green and cream car. 55.04 for John Palmer means he's 100th of a second slower than Christopher Dell, so he slips into second place by just 100th of a second. Pete Bottrell is on the hill now in his Lotus Elan, and it's quite a quick start for Pete in that Series 3 Elan. And it's Keith Wilford in the Elan Sprint. Paul Carver sits on the start line and just goes away now in the Lotus Elise. Keith Wilford up the line does a 55.86. He goes into third place. 3 cars in this class in the 55-second category currently. Paul Carver is on the hill in the Elise. Clive Buffy in the Lotus Elan waits on the start line. Away goes Clive Buffy then. Pete Bottrell does a 55.89, so he goes into 4th place, just 300ths behind Keith Wilford. So some incredibly tight times being set here by the competitors in the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. Always a very competitive series this, and living up to its reputation now. Charles Hamer in the Series 4 Elan sits on the start line. Paul Carver is into sets a time of 55.96, so 3rd to 5th are separated by a 1/10 of a second on these first runs. Buffy there in the newer Lucky Land coming up around Historique. Richard Swindle in his Elan Series 3 sits on the line and away he goes. Good start to the run for Richard Swindle. Rounds Historique now. Dropped just a little bit of time as he goes into Pardon. Luke Mason sits on the line in the Elise as that's a 57.16 then for Charles Hamer, puts him in 6th place in the class at the moment. Luke Mason's away in the Elise, heads up towards Historique. Sports racer David Giddon, Lotus 23 1600cc machine sits on the line now. 55.92 for Richard Swindle, and that means that, well, 3rd to 5th are now separated by 600ths of a second. Incredible. David Giddon is on his way, heads into Historique. One of our Lotus single-seaters sits on the line now. That's Anthony Shute in his Lotus 69 Formula Ford spec car. As David Giddon goes into Pardon. Luke Mason does a 56.44, which is enough for 7th place. So Anthony Shute heads under the bridge and on up towards Historique. Looking quick, and he gets under the 50-second mark of 49.29 for David Gibbon. Puts him top of the Paul Matty Lotus Championship contenders at the moment. Anthony Shute going well though in the Lotus 69 Formula Ford machine, and Malcolm Thorne in a Formula 2 car. The Lotus 69 Formula 2 car is waiting on the start line. Away he goes. What can Anthony Shute do then? Up towards the Tories comes Malcolm Thorne. Steve Palmer is on the line at the moment, and Anthony Shute has done a 48.77, so he takes the lead ahead of David Gibbon, who did a 49.29. Malcolm Thorne going well though in the Formula 2 car. Steve Palmer gets off the line in his Lotus 69, and up comes Adrian Reed. Malcolm Thorne 47.32 takes the lead. So Adrian Reed sits on the line in his Lotus 61. To the line comes car number 81. That's June Matty in the Formula 3 spec Lotus 69. Adrian Reed around the Tories, on up to Pardon he goes. Sets a quick time on that section. Stephen Palmer slots into 4th place with his 50.41. June Matty gets away. And up to the line comes Paul Matty, car number 82 in the Formula 2 Lotus Type 35. June, meanwhile, rounding Historique. Adrian Reed has got a 47.19, so just over 2/10 quicker, takes the lead in the Paul Matty Lotus Championship at the moment. David Hampton is on the line in his Lotus 69 Formula 2 stroke Formula Atlantic machine. Still about 4 more cars, 4 more Lotuses to come to the line, as June Matty slots into 6th place with a 50.77. Car 85 on the line now is Anthony Wallen, his F3 spec Lotus 69. Paul Matty coming close to the finish line. David Hampton putting in some quick times, quick intermediate times in the Formula Atlantic machine. Continues to do so as he gets to midway. Paul Matty slots into 5th place. And it is David Hampton that leads with a time of 46.02. That Formula 2 or Formula Atlantic car, whichever you prefer, leading at this stage as Anthony Wallen does a 46.30, but less than 3/10 back from the leader, slots into 2nd place. Ryan Meddings in the Lotus 51 continues on the hill, and Jane Millwood in the Series 3 Elan is there as well. We've got one of our 2-driver cars, 787, Karen Buffy in her Elan, as Jane Millwood rounds the Tories. Ryan Maddens does a 53.40. That puts him 10th amongst the Lotuses at the moment. Shane Millward really pushing on as Cameron Buffy rounds a Torres. And is off on the outside of Pardon, unfortunately, and the red flags I think are inevitably going to come out now. So yeah, don't think there's much damage done, but Cameron Buffy, they're parked in the gravel on the outside of Pardon. So after the first runs in the Paul Marty Lotus Championship, it's Dave Hampton that leads with a time of 46.02 from Anthony Wallen 46.30. In third place it's Adrian Reed with a 47.19, then it's Malcolm Thorne 47.32, and rounding off the top five, Anthony Shute with a 48.77. So, a bit of a lock-up and into the barriers, unfortunately, for the Lotus Elan. Cameron Buffy, 787 then. So that's the shared car with Clive Buffy, so hopefully the damage is not too much to prevent second runs. Well, it looks as if Cameron will be able to drive back down the hill, driving on the grass, just in case there's anything leaking from the Elan, but hopefully no serious damage, and second runs will be a possibility. So the Elan makes its way safely back to the paddock. A little bit of clearing for the marshals to do where gravel's been pulled out onto the tarmac before we get things back underway. And we're getting very close now to seeing the ERA register contenders doing their first timed runs. Well, online Steve Kovacs is saying greetings from the Pacific Northwest, and I'm Carl Videos saying hello from Japan, so greetings to both of you. Hope you're enjoying the action from Prescott. Greetings from Bern, Switzerland. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Adrian Kernan, for watching. And up to the line now then comes the first of our ERAs, car 95, the B-type ERA of David Ellison. And away with plenty of tyre smoke goes the B-type. Up the hill, under the bridge. These valuable machines, but the driver's not worrying so much about that, driving them how they're meant to be driven, which is great to see. Around the Torres then goes David. And on up towards Pardon. Safely around Pardon, on up towards the S's. A little bit wide there, but gets it all back together. As the 96 car comes to the line, that's Ben Fidler in the D-type ERA with the name Raymond Mays, legendary name on the side of the car. David Ellison does a 55.81 as Ben Fidler prepares for his run in the D-type. Slightly later car, of course. Perhaps rise, and away he goes. So as I say, 55.81 the time to beat. He was quicker on initial acceleration. He heads up to Ettores. Around there, a little bit of opposite lock as he comes out of Ettores. Continues towards Pardon, into Pardon, and still setting a quicker time so far than David Ellison ahead of him. Tom Hardman brings his AJM1 ERA to the line. As through the S's goes Ben, still quickest then through Midway. Next time will be the finish line. Really pushing, sliding it around that right hander. Lovely to watch under the line. 51.10 Ben Fidler, quickest of the two ERAs that we've seen so far. But Tom Hardman now is on the hill heading up towards Ettores, leaning out there as he goes round the left hander before the right hander hairpin at Ettores. Away from there on up to the Pardon hairpin. Not quite as quick at the moment as David Ellison ahead of him. Through Midway, still a little bit down on time. Up of smoke there. 51.10 is the top, the quickest time. 55.81 is second. What's he going to do? Is a 53.91, so he goes in the middle. Tim Hardman second quickest then, behind Ben Fidler, ahead of David Ellison. Well, from the English racing automobiles, we should be moving on to the French Bugattis now, the cars in the Monaco Trophy Cars Handicap. So up to the line comes Tim Dutton, now in a Bugatti Type 44, was originally scheduled to be in the Type 51, but he's out in the Type 44 instead. So away goes Tim Dutton then in that Type 44. And up to line comes car 102, Ed Burgess in the Bugatti Type 51, currently holding the Bugatti Hill record. And I'm sure he would like to better that if he could. And Tim Dutton then going into Barden as Ed prepares to get off the line in the Type 51. And away he goes. Up to line, it is the Type 13, the Brescia. Ed Burgess round to Tories, arms full of lock there. 62.10 then for Tim Dutton. This is, of course, is a handicap class, so have to wait and see who does what on handicap. Alex Risk gets away in the Type 13 Brescia. As up to the line comes car 104, that's Edward Townsend in his Type 35B. Ed Burgess makes his way to the top of the hill and does a 52.5, so quickest by some way on scratch, as Alex rounds the Tories in that little Type 13 Brescia. And we'll be moving on to the TR Registered Triumph Speed Championship in just a moment, but I will be handing over to my colleague Chris then, as we see Ed Townsend going around Ettores in the T35B. Alex Risk coming towards the end of the hill in the Type 13 Brescia. Does a 67.09 as away goes the Triumph Dolomite Sprint. Tony Brown in the Dolomite Sprint. Edward Townsend coming towards the end of his run up the hill in the Type 35B. Goes over the line at 58.88, second quickest on scratch. But now we bring bring things a little bit more up to date with the Triumphs. And I will hand over now to Chris.
Well, good afternoon again. Thank you very much for Peter Hughes. Thank you very much. We'll probably be hearing Peter later on. At the moment, we're in the TR class. At the moment, we've got some nice TR7 V8s. As we can see, car 111 on the line. It's nice to see a good representation of these. All got big Rover V8 engines that was derived from the Buick small block engine, and was apparently the engine was seen in a workshop in America, and one of the big noises at BL thought, do you know what's that engine doing there? That might make a useful job. So they first put it in the P6 Rovers, actually, I seem to remember. And but anyway, these things are absolutely fabulous. They sound terrific, don't they? So on the hill at the moment is Roger McEwen, and Steve Small is about halfway up the hill. So Roger McEwen has just finished in the 61. It's just Put my glasses on so I can see the time. So at the moment in the class of the TR Registered Triumph Speed Championships, the quickest so far is Jerome Croft, Larry, and that's 53.52. John Whedon in a 56.38. Tony Brown in a 57.36, and Roger McEwen a 61.21. So we've got a few runners and riders to go in this class still. Alistair Black is on the hill in the TR7 V8, and Garrow Shand has just left the line in the little Austin Healey Sprite. Interesting to see how they go, because small car but surprisingly quick, as you know. So I see, just looking on my live screen here, is bright sunshine at the top of the hill. If you've not been to the top of the hill, it's well worth the walk. Accessed by the right-hand side of the track as you leave the start, and you can go over the Brown Bridge there, up by Orchard there, across that, and then walk up the right-hand side of the hill, and some fantastic viewing points up there to see. The sun's out. What better place could you be than watching historic cars at Prescott? Some priceless machinery here today as well. The sun's out, it's ice cream weather, all is good. So Garrow Shand's approaching the end of his run, 55.54, which actually is in the Healey Sport category, so that is the quickest in that category so far. He'll be followed by Ian Thomas, who's in the Healey 3000 Mark II, is already through the S's, and Claire Giles in a very pretty little Austin Healey Sprite Mark I, car 122, is just approaching Pard and Hairpin. Ian Thomas finishes in a 54.40, goes top of the class so far. Stephen Casson on the line in Austin Healey Lenham Sprite. This is, you'd see these were actually competing at places like Le Mans all those years ago, and the enclosed body work was meant to be more streamlined and aerodynamic. Claire Giles is making very good progress in that very pretty little Sprite, going round Pard and Hairpin now. Open top Sprite, absolutely planted round there. Looks absolutely tremendous. What a pretty little car. And like all these cars, lots of value tied up in these little cars now, and it's great to see them still driving after all these years. So we got a busy class, and so that would be Claire has finished 55.44 as Stephen Casson does a 54.72, still just behind Ian Thomas with a 54.40. Robert Owen has just left the line in the little Frog Eye, very pretty little car, and the Austin Healey of Philip Gardner is on the hill at the moment and going through the S's. I've got car 126 in front of me on the line, and this one is a very pretty little Sebring Sprite in that lovely blue colour scheme with the orange around the headlights there, almost in the John J.W. Wire colours that they used to compete at Le Mans in the GT40s. In a much copied colour scheme, that one. So still, Ian Thomas still leads the way with a 54.40. Now Robert Owen approaches the line, he's going to finish in a time of 56.83 for Robert Owen. Richard Salisbury's on the hill in the Sebring Sprite, about halfway up the hill approaching the S's. And John Ducker leaves the line in the early Healey 100, beautiful looking thing. This is a lovely class of car. In fact, my co-commentator Peter, he said you better do the Healeys because he says he regrets selling his all those years ago. Well, I think we've all sold a few cars over the years, we regret it. But that was then. We're a little bit older now, and unfortunately we can't get those years back, but the cars are long gone probably. Anyway, we've got John Ducker on the hill in the Healey 100. That's the two-tone one there. It's just approaching the S's now. Absolutely fabulous looking thing. Brett Dillon's on the hill in the Healey Sprite, and I've got Trish Cecile Pritchard in the Healey 3000 on the line. That's a very, very rapid car from memory. Is she going to smoke the tyres? Yeah, bit of smoke of the tyres, very clean exit off the line. I'm heading off up towards Bridge. Okay, I've just had some information about the winners of the raffles, the cars they're going up the hill. The first one's going to be that bubble car, the BMW Isetta 300cc. And apparently the little car saved BMW from bankruptcy when the directors bought the license to manufacture it from Isetta of Italy. But more of that later. On the line, we got Gerald Wilby in the Jensen Healey's already made his way around Pardon, and Navdeep Barma has just left the line in the little Austin Healey Sprite. The little bright orange one, very pretty little car, very effective too actually. Has been a very successful car in its time. Mervyn Coxon on the line in the Austin Healey 100 with a soft top. Early car this one, Mervyn Coxon, and shares it well sometimes with David Morland. I think is David driving that one today, so maybe they're sharing that one today. So Navdeep's on his way up to the S's. Gerald Wilby finishes in 65.37. So currently Ian Thomas still leads the way with a 54.40 from Stephen Casson 54.72, and Claire Giles with a 55.44 as Navdeep Barma goes across the line in 55.79. That's a good time. Puts him 6 so far. So Mervyn Coxon just on his way up towards Ettores, which is the long 180-degree corner, up round the corner from the start, past the orchard, past the bridge, past the orchard, up in that corner. And then they go round there and head back towards Pardon. Oh, there's a lot of noise here. This is Mike Mower. Mike Mower has left the line in the Austin Healey Sprite, but just on the line is Richard Mason in the Healey 3000 Mark II. This is a beastie boy of a Healey. Listen to this one. There'll be a big load of smoke as it leaves the line. And will this one go into the lead in the class? It'd be lovely to see, wouldn't it? So at the moment the marshals have got the red flag over it now. They're putting that back in the slot there. There is a little problem up the hill at the moment. Marshals is just dealing with that. So I don't know what, might be a mechanical malady. So the big Healey on the line switches off the engine. Peace and quiet returns to Prescott. Well, if this is your first visit, we have lots of meetings here all through the season, including the main British Hill Climb Championship, which we had here recently. No, we didn't. I'm talking rubbish. It got postponed till later on in the year, till August. So we'll be back there for 2 rounds of the British Championship later on in the year. At the moment, the British Championship round this weekend is at Gurston, which is near Salisbury, Gurston Down, and they travel all around the British Isles. They even go to Northern Ireland. They even go to the Channel Islands. And I was up recently, I was at Harewood Hill the other weekend on the British up in Yorkshire. They then, I think the next round, I think they're off to Doon in Scotland. So they got a long old journey up to Doon, but beautiful hill, one of the scariest hills on the calendar. To drive there, you've got to be brave. So, oh, hang on, the big Healey's just started up. So, hang on, Peter's just come to tell me something. If anybody has lost a debit card, if you present yourself at the office, it's been handed in there. So fair play to the person that picked that up and put it to the office. Oh, here goes Richard Mason in the Healey. Watch that one. Listen to that one. Sounds fabulous, doesn't it? Goodness me, that's a beastie boy if ever I saw one. On his way through Orchard. He goes through Orchard very rapidly indeed. 63 mile an hour through the speed trap there. Just as an interesting reference, the biggest single-seaters go through the speed trap at approximately 120. So they're with 700cc Judd V8 engines and the like. That gives you some idea of just how fast the British Hill Climb cars are. As Richard heads up towards the S's. Hugh Edwards, Austin Healey 3000 on the line, car 136. Hugh comes from Wales. He's a fellow fisherman like me. When we were at Loughton Park, we spent a lot of time chatting about fishing and not much about cars. So there you go. He's a fly fisherman, actually. So what's Richard Mason going to do? Is he going to... Yes, Richard goes into the lead in the class. 53.10 for Richard Mason, leading the class. I thought he might be. He's very rapid car, that. Hughes' car is a beautifully turned out car. I don't think he'll be on that same sort of pace, but we'll see what he does. And he'll be followed by a very, very pretty Healy 100, the two-tone one that's on the line, red and black. It's just a single little screen on it, open top, earlier Healy that one, but absolutely immaculately turned out. The degree of preparation in these cars is quite astounding, really. He's just going around Orchard now. Fabulous looking car, that. So we've still got Richard Mason leading the class with 53. We've had a fail for Mike Mower. Yep, so we got Hugh Edwards still on the hill, 58.78 for Hugh Edwards. Michael Berry still on the hill. He's just gone through the midway point on the hill, approaching the S's. Very tricky part there. Turns left to head up towards semicircle. Semicircle's got a sheer drop over the edge, so it's quite a fresh air corner. Got to be quite brave round there. So he heads up towards the finish as Robert McGregor follows in on the Triumph Dolomite Sprint. A 53.21 goes second in the class for Michael Berry. Robert McGregor. So quite a tongue twister, and I've had nothing to drink yet. So Robert in the Dolomite Sprint, they were successful in the British Touring Car Championships up to 2 litre back in the day. Basically 2 V4 engines, the Stag engine was 2 V4 Dolomite engines put together from memory. Anyway, through the line 56.74, so in the TR Registers Triumph Speed Championship, Steve Small 52.55. Right, we're now into the 500 club. The little Coopers. Okay, so we got the Cooper Mark 9, Fraser Dean. He was the quickest earlier today. So Fraser Dean, or was it his son? No, I think it was Fraser. Fraser Dean, away from the line. He'll set the marker down. He was the quickest in practice. Is he going to be the quickest when it comes to the time runs? Nice line through Orchard. Nice little drift coming out of Orchard, heading into Ettores there. Nice precise line. In hill climbing, often the quickest cars are the cars that take the best lines and don't look very spectacular. So at the moment, on my live screen, we got purple sectors, which means he's the quickest, but he is the first runner in the class. So Fraser Dean heading up towards the line, just through the S's, up towards semicircle, wide line out of the S's there. Semicircle in sight now, 46.47, going to finish in a time in the low 50s. Going across the line in a 52.82, so that takes him into the lead in the class. And very interestingly, now we've got Steve Lawrence getting out of his car. He's on the line. The scrutineer's there. There's something going on there. So he's back out of the car. Sometimes these older cars, they get to the line and something falls off, or oil leak or something similar. Anyway, no drama. He's pushing it back now, so he's something not quite right. And I see the marshals are pointing to what looks like a little drop of oil by the start there. So perhaps a little bit of a drip of oil, but then a car that old, you'd expect the odd oil leak, wouldn't you, I guess? In fact, they're picking up bits of things that's fallen off the car. They're looking at the ground like some sparrows looking for a bit of breadcrumbs. Oh, there's another piece of breadcrumb, that's right. Yeah, he's giving it there you go. Doing a fine job, young man, fine job. Fantastic. Now, your marshals. Do you fancy becoming a marshal? Do you know, it's the best way I know getting close to the motorsport action. You can go on the MSUK website, Motorsports UK, and you can apply to be a marshal. You can start at quite a young age. I think it's 15, and you've got to be 18 to go trackside. But there's loads of jobs you can do around the paddock. Boys, girls, it makes no difference. So it's the best way I know of becoming close to the action. You'll get free entry. You might even get a lunch if you're lucky. And who knows, it's just the best way to do it. So we're always looking for marshals. If you fancy becoming a marshal, become a marshal. There you go. Lots of jobs for you and you'd love it. So they've cleared up the debris from that little Cooper. Hopefully he'll be back out again soon. But I did see a comment on the live stream. Actually, I think we are now actually live streaming all over the world. How about that, folks? Rich Danby and Eleanor are bringing the live stream on HillClimb.TV. Like and subscribe. That would be a great start, because Rich would be very happy to see you do that. Hi from Beer and Tom in France. Good afternoon to you. Also, he's got a paid thing where you can contribute to the channel every month from a mere 99 pence a month. I think the next one's £5 odd, and then the top one is £12. I subscribe to that because I think I want to see Rich bring the live stream to you. It's a fantastic thing. So John Dent leaves the line in the Cooper Mark 8. So currently Fraser Dean leads the way with a 52.82. Now these little cars, I believe I'm right in saying that Sterling Moss started out driving these as his first little racing car, and they were a very even class with their little 500cc motorbike engines, 4-stroke engines, single cylinder. There is a couple of 1100 twin cylinder versions later on, but all these are 500s, and I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between the cars. Even the later ones, a bit like the Formula 4s, I don't think the development was massive, so that you could have an older one or a newer one and they would still be very competitive. I see Alistair Dent is just going on his way around Orchard there. Exposed engine on the back, bit of opposite lock coming out of Vittoria's there. Highly entertaining little cars to drive. And I mean, gosh, these cars are, how old are these cars now? They got to be 70 years old, perhaps? Yeah, really old cars now. Probably some of them might be older than that, but anyway, they're a little bit smoky, some of them, so you're going to get the odd bit of smoke, bit of oil. Oh, and he leaves the line. Car 145. 145. Michael Wood leaves the line in the Iota CB2. Well, there you go. Alistair Dent finishes in a 56.28. So currently, Fraser Dean, as he was in practice, was about 4 seconds quicker than everybody else. So he's eaten his porridge this morning, had plenty of go-go juice, and he's winning that class easily. Car 146 on the line. Mark Willis in the Kine F3. Again, single cylinder, they're all the same. Little skinny tyres on them. Raucous little things, but I think they're highly entertaining. They're lovely, aren't they? And what an experience for the drivers. It must be absolutely so close to the action. They do have roll bars on them though, don't they? I've just the fact that a lot of the earlier cars didn't, but these ones have roll cars. Yeah, they've all got roll bars, which I think you'd want. I think you'd be very happy to have a roll bar if you tipped over. So, still Fraser Dean from Alistair Dent, 52, 56.28 to Alistair Dent, and then a 58, then a 59. So there's quite a difference in the times. So I'm guessing, I don't know how even the cars are actually, whether if you put Fraser into one of these other cars, whether you'd still be the quickest, I don't know. But sun's out, get yourself up to the top there towards the finish. Great viewing all the way up the hill. Go up the right hand side of the track if you want to walk all the way to the top of the hill. The left hand side of the track off the start basically takes you up to Historique. And then you can go no more. We're back here, of course, tomorrow for more fabulous action and another chance to see these wonderful cars in action. Let's hope the sun shines tomorrow. Wouldn't that be lovely? Okay, Mark Dent just leaves the line as Oliver Dent in the Hornet F3 is well up the hill towards the S's. Still Fraser Dean leads the class. Very moment there for Mark Dent coming out of Orchard towards, oh, he's really sliding it around the place. Opposite lock everywhere he is. He's a proper rally driver, this boy. Having a lot of fun in this car today. Already round Pardon. Now here's one of the twin cylinder 1100 cars, car 151, just approaching the line. And interestingly, even though it's got the longer wheelbase, bigger engine, they were no quicker than Fraser Dean was earlier in his car. So Mark Dent is going to be approaching the finish very shortly. He's had an exciting ride up the hill. And he's going to finish in a 56.76. Now I think there's only two in his class, so I'm thinking that they're both the 1100s. Charles Reynolds has left the line too. Beautifully turned out car, that one. It's a credit to him, isn't it? Cars this old to be in such fantastic condition. Now this looks like a dual drive car. So Charles Reynolds is still on the hill, and at the moment he's leading the class. He's got purple sectors all the way up the hill, which means he's quicker than the previous car. Because we're live streamed today, Rich Stanby's putting on the all exotic timing as well, so for somebody like myself it makes it very much easier to commentate, because we can see exactly who's quickest. So at the moment Charles Reynolds is leading the way, goes over the line in a 51.40, comfortably leading that class at the moment. Vic D, now this is another shared drive, because we had Fraser, didn't we, earlier, and Vic wasn't as quick as Fraser earlier, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's well down on Fraser's time, but we will see. So Fraser, at 52.82, and then Richard Robarts, not Jason Robarts. Oh my goodness me, we've got those noisy TR fellas coming to the line, those TR7 V8s. Yes, car 176. This is the TR7 V8 in the Works Leyland colours, the Works Rally colours that they did, which when Tony Pond was driving them, 54.47 there. So that is actually a good time. That's his third place in the 500 class. So Fraser Dean wins that class as Maxwell Briley-Jones leads the line in the TR7 V8. Now, if I remember rightly, he was quickest of these runners earlier. We've got one 500 still on the hill. David Price is waiting to go. Car 156 to Fraser Nash Super Sport. What a glorious looking bit of kit that is. The white one, car 156. Have a good look and listen for this one. We're into some very, very pretty cars. Oh, that is gorgeous. That's got to have a supercharger on it, that one making that whine. Sounds terrific, doesn't it? So Maxwell Briley-Jones is on his way up towards semicircle in the big V8 TR7. He's going to set a marker for the class. He's in 47 so far. He's going to be in the low 50s. Coming up towards the line, 51.69 for Maxwell Briley-Jones. David Pryke on the hill already, halfway up in the Fraser Nash, as Christopher Tabor is on the hill in the Riley Special. Very fine looking cars, all of these. Tom Richardson in the Gypsy GN Special. Now this one is all crafted out of aluminium. It's unpainted, car 158. Sounds terrific. Makes a spirited exit off the line as David Pryke finishes in the Fraser Nash in 56.35, currently leading the Bugatti Owners Club members all comers handicap. So I'm guessing they're on handicap times, but the actual time he's done was a 56.35. Christopher Tabor is already well up the hill as Tom Richardson in the Gypsy GN Special. Tony Wood has just left the line in the Fraser Nash Shelsley. So Christopher Tabor finishes in a 60.99. I've got Tony Wood on the hill in the Fraser Nash and Mark Ponting on the line in a very pretty Cooper T59. .57.62. Tom Richardson in the Gypsy GN Special. Tony Wood still yet to finish, as Mark Pontin leaves the line in the Cooper T59. And we've got, looks like a little Brabham just approaching the line. It is in fact Ian Baxter in the BT16 Brabham. Very pretty. These little single-seaters are stunning, aren't they? Absolutely stunning, and still pretty rapid, aren't they? So, Tony Wood finishes in a time of 59.48 in the Fraser Nash, as Mark Pontin is halfway up the hill in his Cooper T59 in the blue one, and Ian Baxter in the Brabham has left the line. And that looks like the Lotus 11 of David Rose is coming up to the line shortly. That's a very pretty little car. Again, Sterling Moss drove one of those back in the day. I'll talk about that one when he gets it. So Mark Pontin, what's he going to do for us? 57.36 in the Cooper T59. This is in the all-comers handicap. So Mark currently leads the way in that class. And Ian Baxter in the BT16 Brabham looks like he's going to beat that. He's approaching the line now, going to go under 50 seconds, 46.98. Wow, that's a big improvement, isn't it? So Ian Baxter in the little Brabham, fantastic, 46.98. So the little Lotus 11 has been pushed back off the line. So little technical hitch for that one. Now we've got car 165. This is like a little mini. This is the Buckler 90. It's like a little Mercedes that used to compete at Le Mans with the headrest behind him. Opens up car, leaves the line. Don't think it's got a very big engine in that one, but making nice progress. Here's an interesting one, folks, to look out for. We've got the Alpha. Car 166, the Lancia Aurelia, which has got a Lancia engine. I think it's got a supercharger on it. Like a sand racer, very long wheelbase in it. You've got the car, the engine, and then way back you've got the wheels. So I don't know how stable that is to drive, but it makes a lovely noise as it leaves the line. So watch out for Dominic Hentel in the Lancia Aurelia single-seater. On the line, Mr. John Sidwell, if you're out there watching, this is for you, a Healy Silverstone Jaguar. I've sent this one up specially for you, car 167, Mr. John Sidwell, who used to race here in 1954. And he's come back today for another look. Marvellous to see. Hope you're enjoying your day, John. Here comes the Healy Silverstone on its way to you. We'll be followed by Peter Joy in a very early and very pretty Lotus 7. All aluminium bodywork on this one. Open top. And I can't see what engine it's got in it, but some of them had twin cams. I'm thinking that's probably a twin cam the way it's left the line. The Lotus 11 is just coming back to the line now. So yeah, David Rose in the Lotus 18. Did I say 11? Get it right, Ponzi. Lotus 18, fabulous looking little thing. So at the moment, Ian Baxter leads the way in this class with a 46.98. Then there's a big gap to Dominic Hentel. But this is a real mixture of cars in this class, and it is a handicap class. So, ultimate winner, I'm not too certain yet. Wow, screaming little Lotus there of David Rose, the Lotus 18. That is absolutely been rebuilt, that car. It looks incredible, absolutely incredible. So Peter Joy, what's he going to do? He's in the Lotus 7, he's approaching the finish very shortly. But he's in 58.87 in the Lotus 7. David Rose is on the halfway up the hill at the moment. And we'll be followed by Mark Wojciechowski in that very historic Mini Cooper, the red Mini Cooper with the white roof. So we're into a right little mixture of cars here. We've got Peter Clark on the line, car 170. And Peter's in a little MG midget. Yeah, so Mark Wojciechowski is just gone around Pardon Hairpin, heading up towards the Essex in the little diminutive Mini. I mean, you look at the size of modern Minis compared with these true old Minis, massive difference. But oh my goodness, he's going really quick through the S, he's really throwing it about, holds it all together. Here comes Carol Nichols in the Nike Mark IV, the little Formula Ford, the little yellow one. Her father built this car all those years ago, and Carol, bless her, she goes all over the country in this little car. Fantastic supporter. In fact, she was doing an interview with Chris Druitt today or tomorrow. She'll probably hear all weekend. Les Buck's on the line in his Pringett Mistral. Les is a long-time competitor. This beautiful Pringett Mistral was made for driving schools back in the day, like the Jim Russell School, and I think they made about 18 or 19 of them. But this particular example, beautifully turned out. And Formula Ford, of course, was brought in to be the formula to introduce young drivers into single-seaters. So essentially they all had the same 1600 Ford engine. They all had pretty much the same tyres. There were limitations on the suspension. And they ran for many, many years, basically with the same configuration. But anyway, this is an old car of Les Buck's, and Robert Blackstock has just left the line in the MGB GT. And will be followed by Tim Jeffrey in the Alpine GTA LM. And I was pointed out to me earlier that I said it had a 2-litre 16 valve. It doesn't. It's got a 2-litre 8-valve engine. It's out of a Renault 21, and he's put it in the back. Originally this car had a V6 engine in the back, but anyway, leaves the line. It's very light, he's lightening it down as much as he can, and he's driven the car all the way from Essex today. So, and he'll drive it home, no doubt, if everything goes to plan. It's not uncommon for hill climb racers, particularly in road going classes, to drive the car to the hills and back. That's all very well, as long as everything goes well. Anyway, Will Goff is here. Now, Will's here in his Ford Sierra Cosworth today. Very special car, worth ridiculous amounts of money, these old whale-tail Sierra Cosworths. And rear-wheel drive, 2-litre, 16-valve engines, very rapid indeed, and worth a lot of money, so he won't be wanting to break too many lap records or hill records with that one today. Here's one of my little favourites today, the little Renault 5 GT Turbo, Turbo Coupe. This was a Turbo Cup car at one time, and he has played around with this car. It's got a big turbo in there, got 240 brake horsepower running through the front wheels. He said the car is very, very rapid. He just needs a few more brave pills. Now, if you want to support the coverage, go on to HillClimb.TV if you're watching. Obviously, like and subscribe. But there is a link there to be able to pay a few bob every month and to help Rich and Eleanor to bring this coverage, this live stream coverage, to you on a regular basis, because obviously it costs money to do it. He has to come here days in advance. He puts cameras all the way up the hill. He has to bring them all in. And today, Richard is covering this Historique event for us, which we're very lucky because he might have been at the British Hill Climb Championship at Gurston, but very kindly has come to us to cover the Historique. So he's here both afternoons. Well, he's putting coverage out both afternoons. So absolutely fabulous. So thank you, Rich and Eleanor. Like and subscribe, or pay a few bob, 99p a month for the basic cover. £5.49, I think it is, for the next one up. I think they call that the 2-second club. And the full Monty Club's about £12.49 a month. I'm calling it that. Anyway, so we've got Howard Harmon in the MGTC has just going left, pardon. And we've got the big V8, Pete Fletcher, the TR7 V8. You won't miss that one. Listen to that one. Sounds fantastic. Amazing looking thing. But doesn't it sound good? So still leading the way in the Bugatti Club Members All-Comers Handicap is Ian Baxter with a 46.98. David Rose actually done a 52.98 in the Lotus 18. Peter Clark did a 53.37. So we've got Pete Fletcher in the V8 just going round Pardon hairpin. Puts the throttle down, heads up towards the S's. Here comes a very pretty Riley TT Sprite of David Saxall. He's just left the line, one of the prettiest cars you'll see here today. And it looks like we've got a slight gap now when they get this car up to the top of the hill. The course car looks like it's going to be going. I hear the BRM. I'm sure that's the BRM I can hear revving down in the paddock. Pretty unmistakable sound. Let's hope he gets a clean run. So what's going to happen is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the course car is being wheeled into position on the start line. And am I right in saying the BRM... Oh, we've got the bubble car. That's what's happening. We've got the bubble car, the little car, the BMW Isetta 300cc bubble car, and the winner, the first prize, gets a ride up the hill in the little BMW. This lovely example is owned by Baz Allen of Course, which is local to here. Was built in Brighton, Sussex, and is one of 25,000 units built there. Manufactured in 6 plants around the world, 160,000 units were sold before the Mini arrived and killed the market overnight. This car has been completely restored and is capable of a top speed of 50 miles an hour, but a bit hairy at anything over 40, as Baz says, coming to a hedge near you. So we've got the BMW is the first one, the yellow one. Tiny little car inside, will be followed by Lady Violet, a 1934 Daimler Light 15. The car was Daimler's move away from huge royal limousines and into volume production. Yeah, it's still a splendid looking thing. It was purchased by Baz Allen 8 years ago. It's undergone a complete restoration, mechanical overhaul, and is now a joy to drive. The Wilson pre-select gearbox, once mastered, ensures a smooth ride in the car that would be at home on the set of Downton Abbey. The money pit nature of this one ensured that other cars purchased where possible were already restored. Now, how many of you own money pit cars? I think I do. I've got a few. Well, I've got one particular money pit car. So as you get older cars, they do become money pits, so you've got the choice, haven't you? Do you keep them because you love driving them and they're lovely, or do you say enough's enough and get yourself something more modern? Well, in my case, I still persevere with older cars, love older cars. Anyway, on the hills, so this is the Friends of Prescott competition winners, already going around the Tories in the bubble car. Give it a clap, give it a wave. Fantastic, looks lovely. I remember going to Bath Technical College. My mate Paddy had one of these. Used to scare the living daylights out of me. Two big lads like us getting in little bubble cars. I thought, how do I get out of this thing? I can't. I am stuck in it. So, and then look at the Daimler too, following it. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, hang on. The bubble car's stopped. It's got going again. Trying to get round the hairpin. Tiny little engines. But they're still going. They're still going. Marvellous. That must be quite a Friends of Prescott was formed to raise funds to improve the facilities offered to all visitors to Prescott. If you'd like to support their work, visit https:// is that the right terminology? IS? No. GD. Friends of Prescott. I'm sure you'll be able to find it anyway. So, yes. I can hear sarcasm coming from next door in Hill Control here. Just behave yourself, chaps. Just do a search for Friends of Prescott, I'm getting told. They're looking at me like I'm thick or something. Well, I probably am a bit. I'm not as bright as those devils next door, of course. Hill Control, behave yourselves. Behave yourselves. Anyway, all your marshals, let's have a shout out for the marshals, please. The marshals are doing a fantastic job as ever. They're all in orange today. We've got our officials as well. Great job. Become a marshal. Go on the MSUK website, how to become a marshal. Fabulous way of getting to do. So we've covered Friends of Prescott. Yeah, just do a search, Friends of Prescott, on Google. That do you, Graham? Thank you very much. Of course, Graham in Hill Control is one of the volunteers that comes here on a Thursday. There's a few of us of old boys that come here and have cakes and eat sandwiches and drink lots of cups of tea, do a few jobs. You might have seen it. Lovely way to become involved with the club. Voluntary work. If you've got spare few hours and you fancy joining us volunteers, give it a go. Speak to Prescott Hill Climb. Just ring up the office. So we've got a little gap here at the moment. The paddock looks a bit quieter. It's all is quiet at the moment. Good time to avail yourself of an ice cream, a drink, something to eat. The clubhouse is still open. Chris is doing interviews up the top as well, up by a little tent up by the clubhouse, interviewing all sorts of interesting people. I don't know what time he's finishing today, but you can go up there and get yourself a drink. I'm just looking now, see if I can see anything. Bum. So, video time remaining, showing on the live screen 1:21:18 video time remaining. They're just looking around the paddock there. They've got a camera in the paddock there. Rich must have gone around the paddock with his roving camera, and he's showing some of the beautiful cars we've got here today. Hang on, I have a visitor. Bear with me. Okay, we're going to be back in action anytime now. Alistair Clark, one of the Fassy cars, is just coming to the line, car 20. Thank you very, very much for all your donations towards the Friends of Prescott Fund. Really appreciated, folks. Your help goes a long way towards keeping Friends of Prescott, which improve the facilities and the hill and everything we got going on here, and it's all appreciated. So here comes Alistair Clark in his Triumph Vitesse. He won the Fassy Championship last year, and I think he's also one of the handicappers that sets the handicaps. This car, he rebuilt this car out of a couple of cars. He's been doing it for years. He's done a fabulous job on it. 2-litre Triumph engine in the front of that one. Beautifully turned out car. I think it owes him a lot more money than it's probably worth, but like a lot of these cars, that's certainly the case. John Barber will be following him in the Fiat Abarth 850 Nürburgring. You'll see the engine cover is open at the back there. Some say that acts as a spoiler as well, helps keep the car down. Now, is this who I think it is? Is this young Matt Clark on the line? I think it is. I'll confirm that it is Matt Clark. So, John Barber's up the hill in the Abarth, but wait, look at this Mini that's on the line now. This man can really pedal this car. He is always really, really close who wins this class. Matt Clark drives this sideways up the hill. He's a brilliant driver. Look at him go. You watch that car as he powers round Orchard, going round Orchard. Sometimes he's sideways round Orchard. Look at that four-wheel drifting it up towards Historique, going round Historique. He drives it like he stole it. It looks so ordinary, and yet it's got a blooming great big engine and a 1380 A-Series engine in the back of it. Here comes Here comes Martin Saunders in the Escort Mark 1. This again, a beautifully turned out car. Mark 1 Escort. Well, what's not to like about that? Matt goes through the S's. Come on, boy, let's see what you got. These are time runs for the Fassi Championship. He's already on his way up to semicircle. He's going to set us up. So Simon Braithwaite was the quickest this morning with a 50.11. 50.09 takes him into the lead in that class. Well done indeed. So this must be the second of the two runs. The Alpha GTV has just, the Alpha GS Sprint GT has just left the line of Ian Stringer. Martin Saunders well on the hill, as Simon Braithwaite, who was the quickest this morning, is on the line at the moment in this gloriously turned out Mark 1 Escort. It's in the colours that Russell Brooks drove back on the RAC rally all those years ago. Unfortunately, it didn't get to the end of the rally in these colours because he had an accident. Anyway, but this is the colours of ATV Today Television, Associated Television. So, Matt Clark, a 50.09. So, we've got Martin Saunders finishes in a 53.80. Simon Braithwaite on the hill. Simon was the quickest this morning. Is he going to beat Matt Clark? It's a lovely, bright, sunny day. The track is good. It's warm. It's dry. Everything looking good. Now, what Simon got for us? He will be followed by Dave Parr in this venerable angler. Always a big moment coming out of Pardon there. I think he might have lost a little bit of time. Looking at that on the midway point, he's slightly down on Matt Clark, because I'm reading it on the live stream now. So that moment cost him. So does that mean that Matt Clark in the little mini is going to take the class? Come on, Simon, approaching the line. Oh, he's trying. 50.10. So Matt Clark has just pipped him by, is it a tenth of a second or a hundredth of a second? Either way, Matt Clark still leads. So that was exciting. Dave Parr on the hill at the moment in the Anglia. He's had this car a long time. The Anglia, of course, was in production in, I believe, the 60s. So I remember going to school in one. How about that? So there you go. Martin Saunders a 53.80, Ian Stringer a 61.16. We got a load of Fassi cars coming here now. This is a brilliant class, actually. Beautiful cars. We got the little A-bar special of Lee Carter, just gone round Pardon hairpin. Andrew Clark in the GTV has just left the line, the Alpha GTV. And will be followed by Andrew Kearney, who's in the little Hillman M, car number 30. These little Hillman M's, diminutive little cars, rear engine car, unlike the Mini that's front engine, and their rear wheel drive. I believe the imp engines came out, Coventry Climax engine. I think they used them in forklift trucks. Anyway, it sounds terrific as it leaves the line very cleanly. What sort of time is he going to give us? So 67.59 for the little Fiat. Andrew Clark still on the hill. Andrew Kearney on the hill in the Hillman Imp. And we'll be followed by Ryan Ema in the Austin Healey Frog Eye Sprite. And I tell you what, car 31, that's dual driven. That is beautifully turned out, isn't it? In that lovely blue colour scheme. The little pop-up lights on the front there. Rapid little car though, don't be fooled. Made for the job. Look at the roll cage on it. Quick exit off the line. Absolutely screams off the line. Tremendous. Okay, where are we looking? So at the moment, Matt Clark, blah, 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 blah. Andrew Kearney, not finished yet. Still Matt Clark is leading that class. And I'm just looking at who's still got to run. There's no reason why Matt won't win that class then. How about that? That'd be great. So Andrew Kearney finishes in a 54.51 in the Imp, as the little Frog Eye is heading up towards the S's now. Can that get amongst them? And Ted Elwes has just left the line in the MGA, and will be followed by a beautifully turned out Elan. Looks like a big valve Elan. Two-tone colours, car number 33. That is Stephen Akers in the Lotus Elan. This is a Beautifully sorted car, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. These are Lands fetching up to 60, 70,000 pounds now, so a very desirable little car. Fiberglass body on their Land, the Lotus twin cam engine, of course. As Ted Elwes goes up towards the finish in his MGA. As Stephen Akers heads towards Pardon Hairpin. And on the line we've got Ben Cross, very rapid driver of this little MG midget. I think it's Ben's dad is an instructor. They both can really drive it. So it'll be interesting to see if the little midget can get amongst the times set by that very rapid Mini. Oh, hang on. So we're in yeah, so we've got different class now. The Classic Speed Championship, Facet 2. I'll have to find out the difference. But I know that this morning Gary Cox was quickest in the Scimitar, the lemon slice car. So at the moment, Ben Cross is going to give us a. Ryan Eamer was a 52.02, so he was the second quickest this morning, and Ben Cross did a 52.61 this morning. Is he going to go quicker this afternoon? He'll do well to beat Gary Cox, that's a dead cert. So he's going around semicircle, approaching the finish, going to finish in the time of 52.47. So he's a little bit quicker, a couple of tenths quicker than he was this morning. As Stephen Norris, as David Fripp is on the hill in the Fiat 124 Spider. Isn't that pretty? That was one of the Works Rally Fiat colours, and they were very successful in these little 124 Spider. Twin cam engine in it. Oh, ho, ho, ho. So Stephen Norris has just left the line in the MGB Roadster. I think he's only entered for the first time this year. But Gary Cox, here he is, car number 38 on the line in the Reliant Scimitar Coupe. It's called Lemon Slice. He's here with his dad as well. And this car and Gary really make this thing go. He was in the 49s this morning. So is he going to win this class again? There he goes. He's off the line in Lemon Slice. Beautifully turned out. Of course, Princess Anne, she was a big fan of the Scimitars. She had Scimitars, and I think she must have done a lot for the branding of the car. They were made in Tamworth, the Reliance, and I think this coupe version here is the best looking one of the lot. This one in yellow with the black stripe. It's got a 3-litre Ford V6 engine in it, as Robert Orford leaves the line in his MGB Roadster. 67.31 for Stephen Norris in his MGB. Another MGB on the hill of Robert Orford, as Terry Cox, Gary's dad, is on the line in his Reliant Scimitar Coupe. This one is in a much more subdued colour, but still looks absolutely immaculate. And in fact, Gary and his dad, I think they've made their living out of Scimitars. Now, here's something a bit exciting. I got excited when I see new cars. This one, a little Ginetta of Oliver Slater, Ginetta G15 in red. They found this as a barn find. They took it home and they've spent 2 or 3 years rebuilding it from the chassis up. Look at it now, it looks an absolute picture. Little imp engine in the back of that one. Looks terrific, great to see it out. He works for Mercedes too as a Formula 1 engineer. So fair play, he knows his way around the motor car, that young man. As Terry Cox goes through the S's, Oliver Slater in hot pursuit will be followed by Phil Fisher in the Mallock Mark 11, sorry. Again, you can see the exposed Lotus twin cam engine in the back, in the front of it there. Leaves the line, 1700 Ford Crossflow. Did I just tell you it had a twin cam? Stupid me. Okay, Ford Crossflow engine on twin Webers, and actually is one of my favourite cars here today. It's a beautifully turned out little old car, still doing the business. Fantastic to see. Oliver Slater about to finish, going to go over the line in a time of 57.94. Gary Cox leads the way with a 49.91 from Ryan Eamer, 52.02. Scorching off the line was Peter Thurston in the Mallet Mark IV. Very early Mallet. Will be chasing Phil Fisher up the hill. The early Mallet there, the Mark IV U2 Mallet of Peter Thurston. It's all silver, see it's all exposed. He's very rapid in this car. It'll be very interesting to see his time. So just looking at his time from earlier, Peter Thurston had a fail this morning. So he had a moment. So far so good as he's going, approaching the S's now. Through the S's, good line through there. Takes it up the hill up towards semicircle. Everything looking good so far. In a purple sector, he should be the quickest. Slides it out, semicircle, over the line, 46.06. 46.06, wow. So what's Ben Fisher finished? He had a 49 this morning. Haven't got a time for Ben. I've got Phil Fisher, did a 50.52. So Peter Thurston, comfortably 4 seconds quicker in that class. Tremendous. Here comes Clive Berry in a very, very well turned out Chrysler Sunbeam 1600 Ti, immaculately turned out car. I saw it driving down to the petrol station as I was driving here this morning. Look at him go, going around Orchard now. Not many of these little Chrysler Sunbeams left. A lot of them, of course, were the Lotus Sunbeams, which had the bigger engine. This has just got the little 1600cc on twin carbs, much slower car spec-wise than the Lotus Sunbeam. Sideways out of pardon there, lovely to see, as Christopher Dew leaves the line in his Alfa Romeo Sprint Veloce. So the Sunbeam's in the S's. Christopher Dew left the line as a very nicely turned out little Frog Eye Spike goes right to the left by the start there, hits the step. I don't know if he wanted to go that far left, but he did. Anyway, he's back in line now. They're just about to chock him up now. Car 731, which will be Paul Emer in the Austin Healey Sprite. So, Christopher Dew in the Alfa Romeo Sprint Veloce. Nice looking car, very thin on the ground now. Not many of those Alphas. A lot of them succumb to a bit of timworm. As Paul Emer leaves the line in that very rapid little Sprite. There's only 3 in this class. We've got Clive Berry, who did 57.71. Christopher Dew, and we've got Steve Dimmock. Well, I can't see him at the moment. Steve Dimmock in his Alfa Sud. Anyway, we've got some rather interesting stuff here. Have a look at this. Car 57, an Austin 7 Shelsley Special. Oh, there's some really unique machinery now. Car 50, another little single-seater. Wow, sounds tremendous. So Nick Allen in his Shelsley Special, about halfway up the hill. You can see all the exposed bodywork. The front wheels are much wider than the rear wheels. So it steers it into, steers it in to pardon there, gets it out of pardon the other side. So we are now in the Burt Hadley Memorial Championship. Now on the first runs, Colin Danks was quickest with a 56.78 and Nick Allen did a 58.26. Darren Archambaud in the Austin 7 Sports has just left the line. There's that all silver aluminium car going around Orchard now. As we've got another little Austin 7 coming up to the line of Colin Danks in the Austin 7 Ulster. So Nick Allen set a marker down there of 58.25. That's still slower than Colin Danks' time earlier of 56.78, but it still takes him into second place. Colin Danks just leaves the line in the Austin 7 Ulster. He was our class winner earlier, and he's already on his way on the hill. Darren Archambaud in the Austin 7 Sports approaching the finish, going up towards semicircle. Colin Danks is about a quarter way up the hill and will be followed by Edward Tyack in the Austin 7 Special. So these are only little cars with 750cc engines, so very small engines. And at the moment, looking at Colin Danks, where is he positioned in the run? Midway, I think he's 36.41, going through the S's, lovely line through there. He certainly drives this little car. Oh, he's onto the grass coming out the S's. Way across the other side of the track now, going into semicircle. Is this going to slow him down? It's not bad. It's a good finish of 57.49. Takes him fastest this afternoon, and he was fastest this morning. Now this car on the line now is an R-Clay Special, car number 52. Absolutely stunning looking car of Nick Turley. Leaves the line. Does absolutely look beautiful, doesn't it? Edward Tyack is well up the hill at the moment. As Nick Turley, there you see him approaching Historique. Got good roll cage around the top of him, so there's plenty of safety built in for him should anything happen. But look at the gleaming exposed aluminium bodywork. Doesn't it look fantastic? Beautiful. On his way round Pardon, and he'll be followed by Graham Beckett, who's on the line in the Austin 7 Simplicity, car number 54. Darren Archibald finished in a 63.77. Nick Turley still to finish in the Austin 7, and Graham Beckett is halfway up the hill and will be followed by Robert Barbette in the Austin Sports. So, Nick Turley, what are you going to do? Nick Turley does a 68.61, which is quite a bit slower than his earlier time, but it's still 6th in the class. Terry Griffin, car number 58, this beautiful little Austin 7. Look at the bodywork on that, another exposed aluminium bodywork, no paint on that one. Looks great though, doesn't it? That must be so much fun to drive, little tiny engines, but they go extremely well. Still a huge amount of Austin 7s around actually. Well, that's a rapid little exit for a little engine, isn't it? So Colin Dank still leads the way with his time earlier of 56.78, and Nick Allen did that 58.25. Paul Gearing did a 60.20, and Terry Griffin 62.50. Terry Griffin going round Torres there, heading up towards Pardon there, positioning the car. Brakes hard. It's a long, sharp corner, that one. Gets the power down very smoothly indeed. As Julia Wolstenholme in the Austin 7 EA Sports. Austin EA Sports. Now this is the Mallock. Yeah, Mark 11 Mallock. On the line. Ben Fisher in the Mallock Mark II. And that looks... Yeah, little Ford Crossflow engine in that one, the 1700 Crossflow engine. They're regular competitors. They've got quite a fleet of cars, the Fishers. They bring various models out to play, but in the Fassi Championship they bring this one, sharing it with Dad. So, family affair. I did ask them about all their cars. They've got loads. I said, where'd you keep them all? And they're sort of scattered around the place. I've got young Peter Hughes back with me now. Would you like to have a little play? Yes, I'm going to put you back to Peter Hughes. Thanks very much. And I'm signing off for a bit.
Well, a big thank you once again to Chris Ponsford for guiding us through the last section of the hill climb there. On the hill at the moment we have Shirley Tull in the Austin 7 Super Accessories style, and Donald Skelton a little bit further down the hill in the Austin Ulster. Clive Danks just leaving the line in the Austin TT Harlequin replica. 74.18 there for Shirley Tull. Moody in the Austin 7 Ulster replica on the line at the moment. Claire on her way, and John Malord in the Austin 7 Hamblin on the line. Claire just rounding Ettores currently as Clive comes towards the end of his climb in the number 62 car. Clive, of course, didn't record a time on his first run, had problems with the car. And he records an 83.63 on this run. Claire's first run time was a 73.63 as Joe Malord around Ettores. Nick Pearson sits on the line in the Austin 7. It still is Colin Danks who leads, based on his first run time. Gearing on the line in the Austin 7 Pigsty Special currently lies in third place after the first runs, behind Nick Allen, who managed to pick up 100th of a second on his second run compared to his first. Joe Malord does a 69.01, so he improves by very nearly half a second on his first run. Up to the line now comes the 756 car. So Matthew Harvey sitting on the line. Nick Pearson around semi on up towards the finish line. There's a 670.08 in fact, so he makes up a second over his first run. Matthew Harvey on the hill now in the car that he shares with Edward Tyler. We'll be moving on in a second to the Paul Matty Lotus Championship. As Matthew Harvey rounds Ettores, goes on up towards Parton. Very even split between those who managed to improve their time on the second run and those who did their best time on the first run, in fact. So away goes the first of our Lotuses, the Elan Series 3 of Steve Millward. Steve heading up towards Ettores now. Meanwhile, Christopher Dell in the Exige sits on the start line. Matthew Harvey does a 76.55, so that's actually some 5.5 seconds quicker than his first run. goes Christopher Dowell then in the Exige. Lotus Elise of John Palmer on the line. Christopher Dowell coming around Torres. Steve Millwood does a 56.12, so he finds well over a second improvement on the 57.90 that he did on his opening run. Christopher Dowell does a 54.90, manages to pick up a tenth of a second or so over his first run time. Just been given a very good reason not to rush away this evening, because it is hoped that the V16 BRM will do a demonstration run at the end of competitive runs this evening. So we're hoping to see the BRM V16 out there. If you've never seen it, or certainly if you've never heard it, then don't go away. You need to stay for that. Phil Carver is on the hill in his Lotus Elise as Clive Buffy brings his Elan up to the start line. Keith Wilford higher up the hill in the Elan Sprint as Phil Carver exits Torres in the Elise and on up towards Pardon. Keith Wilford does a 56.59, so that's slower in fact than his first run, which was a 55.86. Clive Buffy is on the hill, Pete Bottrell is on the start line. Phil Carver heading up towards the finish line does a 54.02. He finds very nearly 2 seconds on his first run, and moves into 11th position in the Lotus standings as Pete Bottrell heads away in the Series 3 Elan, and Charles Hamer brings his Series 4 Elan up to the line car number 88. Bottrell rounding Torres in that bright yellow Lotus Elan Series 3 SE. Around the Pardon he goes as Charles Hamer goes off the line, and Clive Buffy records a 56.78, so he picks up a little over a second on his previous time. Richard Swindle sits on the line in his Series 3 Elan as Pete Bottrell is in the final stages of his climb. He does a 55.64, just picks up about, well, in fact picks up exactly a quarter of a second, as there's a stall on the line unfortunately for the 89 car, but he hasn't four wheels over the line, so I think he'll get a restart. That's Richard Swindle. Charles Hamer meanwhile is coming towards the end of his run in the more modern Elan. Does a 56.39, again about 3/4 of a second quicker than his first run, as the 89 car gets lined up once again on the start line. That's Richard Swindle was meant to be out in the Elise, but out in the Series 3 Elan instead. And away he goes. It's car 90 that comes up to the line now. That's Luke Mason, the Lotus Elise. Richard Swindle into Torres then. Goes it away from there on up towards Pardon. Off goes Luke Mason. Jane Millwood sits on the line 770, the Elan Series 3. So Richard Swindle comes towards the finish of his run. And Luke Mason in the Elise heads on up towards Pardon. And Richard Swindle not able to match his first run. He did a 55.92 on his first run, 56.68 on this run. Jane Millwood is on her way up the hill and is rounding Historique. Now, what can Luke Mason do in number 90 car? And he did a 56.44, he's done a 55.42, so he's found a whole second over his first run time. First of our sports racing car is on the hill. David Giddon in the Lotus 23. Anthony Shute in the Lotus 69 Formula Ford machine is on the start line. As Jane Millwood heads up towards the finish line. Again, Jane not able to match her first run time of 57.55. This time she does a 58.92. Malcolm Thorne brings the Formula 2 Lotus 69 up to the line. 49.18 for David Giddon, but just about a tenth of a second quicker than his first run. Anthony Shute currently lies in 5th place with a time of 48.77 on his first run, as Malcolm Thorne, who was just ahead of him in 4th place, goes up towards the Torres. And Stephen Palmer sits on the line in his Lotus 69, 48.08 for Malcolm Shute. He's picked up 3/4 of a second, but he doesn't move up the order, remains in 5th place. Malcolm Thorne continues his way up the hill, and say Stephen Palmer in his Lotus 69 sits on the start line. Oh, very wide there in the assist for Malcolm Thorne, but he keeps it on the black stuff. Goes into the long right-handed semi before he goes over the line with a 46.97, which moves him up just a little bit. He's now in 3rd place, compares to the 47.32 that he did on his first run. So that third of a second that he's found, enough to move him up to 3rd spot at the moment at least. Away goes Stephen Palmer, who was in 8th place after the first runs with a 50.41. Up the line comes Adrian Reed, currently lying in 4th place with his 47.19 on his first run. And Stephen Palmer goes into the Torres. Cleanly around there, on up towards Pardon he goes. Into the left-hander then. Doesn't appear to be improving on his first run time at the moment, as Adrian Reed gets away in the Lotus 61. And up the line comes the 81 machine. That's the car of June Matty, who Formula 3 Lotus 69. Round the Torres goes Adrian Reed in the Lotus 61. And Stephen Palmer does a 50.97, which is half a second down on his first run time. He remains in 8th place. Away goes June Matty, and Paul Matty comes up to the line in his Formula 2 Lotus 35. June rounds the Torres. That tricky hairpin, cleanly through there, on up towards Pardon, into the left-hander. Powers it out to there. Off the line goes Paul Matty. And we see David Hampton, car 83, the Formula 2 Lotus 69, or Formula Atlantic. He was leading at the end of the first runs with a 46.02. Can he improve on that is the question, as Paul Matty comes out of it. Torres. June Matty does a 49.49. So she's found over a second and is currently in 7th place, and that time moves her ahead of Paul Matty by about 0.3 of a second. Hampton is on his way. Anthony Wallen, who is currently 2nd in the Formula 3 Lotus 69, is on the line. David Hampton is going quicker than his first run at this stage. Paul Matty then, 49.88, that's a second slower, a 10th or a second slower than his first run, and that leaves him in 8th place, 1 position behind June Matty. As David Hampton goes 45.74, finds another 1/4 of a second over his first run time. And can Anthony Wallen do anything about that? Brian Meddings is waiting on the line. Can he better his 53.4 in the Lotus 51 that he did on the first run? Anthony Wallen doesn't look as if he's improving his time though at this stage in the run anyway, as Brian Meddings gets away. And we go back to the Lotus Sports Cars. There's an Elan on the lines. Anthony Wallen does a 46.27, which is 300ths quicker than his first run, but leaves him in 2nd place. Malcolm Thorne in 3rd place, currently, as Brian Meddings rounds pardon. Karen Buffy gets off the line in the Elan, car number 787. Brian Meddings seemingly not improving on his first run time, which was a 53.40, which currently has him in 10th place. As Karen Buffy rounds the Torres, 53.63, just a 1/4 of a second slower than his first run for Brian Meddings, so he stays in 10th spot. And we'll be turning our attention in a moment to the ERAs, because the B-type ERA of David Ellison sits on the line at the moment, car number 95. Karen Buffy was unable to record a time on her first run. In fact, she went off, if you remember, at a bit of a snake from David Ellison there as he heads under the bridge. But Karen Buffy went off at Pardon on her first run, back out there, pleased to say, and does a 69.02 on this second run. But David Ellison, what can he do? Well, at the moment he is not quicker than his first run, and still isn't as he goes around Pardon. He did a 55.81 on that first run. As up to the line comes the 96 machine, and that's Ben Fiddler in the D-type. What about David Ellison in the B-type, who comes up to the line now, has done a 56.39, so half a second down on his first run time. There goes the D-type then. Ben Fiddler at the wheel, leading with a 51.10 on his first run, well over 2 seconds ahead of Tom Hardman, who was in 2nd place. And Ben going around Torres. Tom Hardman comes up to the line then in the 97 car, the ERA AJM1. Ben is going quicker than his first run, which, as I say, was a 51.10. How much can he better that time as Tom Hardman gets off the line? Tom did a 53.91 on his first run. Ben really pushing there as he comes up to the line and does a 50.89. So he's found just a 0.2 of a second improvement on his first run time as Tom Hardman goes around Torres and on up towards Pardon in that AGM built after the ERA era, if you'll pardon the pun, but almost exclusively original ERA parts used to build it. isn't improving by the looks of it on his first run time. Well, he is improving on his own time, but he's not improving on Ben Fiddler's time, the fastest time in the class. As he goes around Semi on up to the line, and he does a 53.93, 200ths of a second slower than his first run. So it's Ben Fiddler who has the quickest time, 50.89. And we will turn our attention towards the Bugattis. And up to the line comes car 101. So it's Tim Dutton in the Type 44 Bugatti that sits on the start line at the moment. Away he goes. As he heads under the bridge, up to the line comes the 102 machine, Ed Burgess in his Type 51. But what can Tim do? He is through Torres, very close to the grass bridges there as he goes on up to Pardon. Around Pardon he goes. Through the challenging S's section of the course. Away goes Ed Burgess in the Type 51, and he is quicker with his initial acceleration. Now then, Tim Dutton did a 62.1 on his first run, and out onto the grass just ever so slightly there. Ed Burgess on the run to Torres. Rounds the hairpin though, he really does seem to be pushing as he goes on up towards Pardon. And Tim a 61.95, so he found 0.15 of a second on his first run time, but he remains a third in class. Alex Risk is on the line in the Bugatti Type 13 Brescia. What about Ed Burgess though? Can he better that 52.50 that he did on his first run? He is into Semi, up towards the line he goes, and he does a 52.78, so about quarter of a second slower than his first run, but obviously leading anyway as Alex Risk goes up towards the Torres. And then it is Ed Townsend that sits on the line, currently second in class after the first run, but over a second down on Ed Burgess's time. Alex Risk did a 67.09 on his first run, as Ed Townsend gets around the Torres cleanly and on up towards Pardon. We'll be just looking in a moment at the TR Registered Triumph Speed Championship contenders, but well, we continue to concentrate on the Bugattis, and a 66.65 for Alex Risk, so he has found a little bit of time but remains in fourth place in the Type 13 Brescia. Obviously an older, one of the first real Bugatti model, so it was the first real Bugatti model at 13, as Terry Brown in the Triumph Dolomite Sprint is coming up towards the Torres. And Ed Townsend did a 59.25, so in fact he is well, about 4/10ths down on his first run time. So it is Ed Burgess with that 52.50 who leads the way amongst the ERAs, as Larry Jerome Croft and the V8 engine Triumph TR7 convertible heads away. And a bit of tyre smoke there from Tony Brown as he comes through the S's. John Whedon is on the line in his TR4. And Torres then for the 107 machine, Larry Jerome Croft in the TR7 V8. 56.85 for Tony Brown, so that's half a second down No, in fact, it's half a second up on his first run time, because he did a 57.36 on his first run, but he's still in 6th place in the TR Speed Championship class. As Larry Jermcroft in that TR7 V8 heads to the line and does a 53.82, so about 3/10 slower than his first run. John Whedon is going towards Historique now. Roger McEwen is on the line in the fuel injected Triumph TR6, car number 109. John Whedon coming through midway in the S's, into the S's. Steve Small sits on the line in his TR7 V8 hardtop version, as Roger McEwen comes around the right-hand hairpin. To Torres, John Whedon on the run to the line now. Did a 56.38. He's picked a little bit of time up, 56.20, but it hasn't moved him up the order. He's still in 4th place as Steve Small heads away. It's under the bridge and on up towards Torres. Roger McEwen doesn't seem to be improving on his first run time, which was a 61.21. Alistair Flack sits on the line in his Triumph TR7 V8. He was in second place after the first runs, behind Steve Small, who's on the hill at the moment. Roger McEwen does a 63.38, so well, over 2 seconds down on his first run time, unfortunately. Steve Small doesn't look as if he's improving on his first run time at the moment. Can't Alistair Flack do anything about it? It was about 0.8 of a second between them. Well, nothing like consistency. Steve Small just 0.03 of a second down on his first run time. First run 52.55, second run 52.58. Alistair Flack is going quicker. He might yet take this one as he comes through the S's. He's pushing hard. He's had 2 sections of the hill so far where he's been fastest overall. He's into 7, he comes round there, he heads towards the line. Can he better that 52.55? Yes, he can. 50.73 from Alistair Flack. So in the end, he takes the class by about 1.8 seconds. We are now into the Healy Sport series. Garo Shand is on the line, on the hill in his Healy Sprite Mark 5, as is John Thomas in the Healy 3000 Mark 2. And Claire Giles sits on the line in her Healy Sprite Mark 1. Improvement there by 0.07 of a second for Garo Shand, who's done a 55.47 against a first run 55.54. Ian Thomas was 3rd after the first runs with 54.40. Claire Giles is on the hill, and on the line is Steve Casson in the Austin Healey Lenham Sprite. What can Ian Thomas do? He was in 3rd place, 54.10. He's found 0.3 of a second, but remains in 3rd spot. Casson is on his way. On the line is Philip Gardner in the Austin Healey Ashley Sprite. Claire Giles was in 5th place after the first runs. Steve Casson is around the Tories, runs on up to Pardon. Claire Giles does a 54.89, so she finds very nearly a half a second, but remains in 5th place. Philip Gardner is on the hill, is rounding Tories. Robert Owen is on the line in the Austin Healey Frog Eye Sprite. What about Steve Casson? Steve Casson has just taken the lead. He was on a 54.72 after the first run. He's on a 52.92 now, 2/10 quicker than Richard Mason, who was leading after the first run. Robert Owen is on the hill along with Philip Gardner. Richard Salisbury is on the line car 126 in the Sebring Sprite. So 4 of the 6 cars that have completed so far have recorded better times, but not so Philip Gardner. Remains in 9th place with a 56.86, 3/4 of a second down on his first run time. Robert Owen did a 56.83 and is in 11th place after the first runs. What can he do now? 56.77, so finds just 600ths of a second on his second run. Richard Salisbury is on his way up the hill, and we're going to be switching to the Healy Sport category in the Healy 3000s now. It's not a 3000, it's the Austin Healy 100 of John Ducker, who is on the hill. Richard Salisbury continues in the Sebring Sprite. Brett Dillon in his Austin Healy Sprite is on the start line. Richard Salisbury not able to match his first run time. He did a 55.73 on his first run, 56.42 on this run. Brett Dillon on his way. And up the line another of the big Healys, it's car 129. And that's Trish Cecil Pritchard in the 3000 Mark 1. Brett Dillon there in the Sprite, pushing on through Ettores. John Ducker does a 57.50, so just 0.15 of a second down on his first run as Trish Cecil Pritchard heads away. And we get the Jensen Healy coming to the line, car 130, and that is the car of Gerald Wilby, the Jensen Healy Mark 1. Trish going around Ettores in that big Healy. Brett Dillon does a 55.41, so finds 2 seconds on that run compared to the first run, and is in 6th place at the moment. Gerald Wilby is on the hill in the Jensen Healy. Navdeep Bamra in the Austin Healy Sprite is sitting on the line. Cecil Pritchard coming up to the line. Does a 57.81, so exactly a second down on her first run time. Gerald Wilby is heading up through midway in the Jensen Healy. Mervyn Coxon in the Austin Healy 100 is on the start line, car 132. So Navdeep Bamra, it rounds pardon. Gerald Wilby with a 64.30, so he's over a second quicker than his first run with that. Mervyn Coxon is on the hill. Mike Moore in the Austin Healy Sprite sits on the start line. Next over the finish line should be Navdeep Bamra as Mervyn Coxon rounds Ettores in the Healy 100. Navdeep does a 56.85, and that is down to just over a second on his first run time as the 134 machine comes up to the line. That's Richard Mason in his Mark II Healy 3000. Mike Moore rounds very wide on the exit of Ettores there in the Healy Sprite. Mervyn Coxon coming towards the end of his run. Bit of a lock-up for Mike Moore into pardon as well. Mervyn Coxon improving on his earlier time. He does a 61.91 compared to a 63.62 on the first run. Richard Mason is on his way up the hill, and Hugh Edwards in the Austin Healey 3000 sits on the start line, car 136, as Mason rounds Ettores, powers his way up the hill. Mike Moore in the Healey Sprite, who hadn't put in a time on the first run, puts in a 53.62 and moves into fourth place within the class. 137 is Michael Berry in the Austin Healey 100M, who is next up, as Hugh Edwards runs Ettores in the Healey 3000. Richard Mason takes the lead with a 52.89, 300ths of a second quicker than Steve Casson. So Richard Mason goes into the lead, as I say, by just 300ths of a second. Mike Berry is rounding Ettores. He's in third place at the moment with his first run time, but it's improving on that. You get one of the Triumphs now, it's Robert McGregor in the Triumph Dolomite Sprint car 805. And Mike Berry move out of third place as Robert McGregor runs Ettores in the Triumph Dolomite Saloon. 53.25, in fact he's 400ths of a second slower at the end than his first run. He remains in third place. Robert McGregor, a registered Triumph Speed Championship, did a 56.74 on his first run. Might be about to improve on that, and does. He gets a 55.98, and that moves him from 5th to 4th in class. So a good run there for him in the Triumph Dolomite Sprint. Next up, I think we should have the 500 Owners Association contenders. Indeed it is. The first of those that comes up to the line is two driver cars. 141 Fraser Dean in the Cooper Mark 9, 500cc of course. Look at that V-twin engine in the back. Some really great names who cut their teeth in these cars, racing them in the then Formula 3. The likes of Sterling Moss and Peter Collins. And away goes Fraser Dean. Up to the line comes 142, and that's Alistair Dent in his Mark 5 Cooper. Fraser then going around Ettores. And then on up to Odds Pardon. He is running quicker than his first run time, as Alistair Dent gets away in the Mark 5 Cooper. Fraser Dean out a bit wide there through midway. Fraser was quickest with a 52.62 on the first runs for the 500 Owners Association category. It's Richard Roberts who was saying, and he picks up 400ths of a second. Fraser Dean improving by just 400ths of a second as Alistair Dent gets a little bit out of shape there through the S's, but Fraser obviously still leading. Can anyone do anything about it? Alistair Dent still going strong. John Dent in the Cooper Mark 8 goes into Ettores. Alistair Dent does a 56.82, so he's just over half a second slower than his first run, remains in fourth place. Michael Wood brings the Iota CB2 up to line, car 145. John Dent continues his run up the hill. John looking to improve on his 59.77. Michael Wood looking to improve on a 58.28 that has him in 5th place after the first runs. John Dent then pushing on. Michael Wood in fact into Torres, a 58.59 from John Dent, so he has made up about a second but remains in 7th place. 146 is Mark Willis, who was in 6th spot after the first runs with a 58.41. Michael Wood needs to find about 2 seconds over his first run if he is to move up a place in the standings. Comes up to the finish line, does a 58.19, so in the end finds just 900ths of a second over his first run and remains in 5th place as Mark Willis goes around the Torres, and up to the line comes 147, and that's Richard Robarts, who was in 2nd place behind Fraser Dean after his first run. Needs to find a little over half a second if he is to take the lead. Meanwhile, Mark Willis looking to better his 58.41. Away goes Richard Robarts. What can Mark Willis do? He's coming towards the line. It's a 60.51, so he's in fact over 2 seconds down on his first run time. Richard Robarts looking a little bit twitchy around Ito. He's obviously looking for those extra tenths that he needs. And on up towards Pardon he goes, and at the moment at least is outpacing Fraser Dean. Can he keep it up though for the rest of the hill? Still through midway, showing as quickest. And the S as he comes, as up to the line comes 149 Mark Dent. What can Richard Robarts do? He's coming towards the finish. Can he take that 53.01? He's found nearly half a second, but it's not enough. He remains in 2nd place behind Fraser Dean after 2 runs. So away goes Mark Dent. He's in one of the 2,000cc Coopers. In fact, 1150cc to be precise. In the Cooper Mark 8, he was well over 5 seconds slower than his rival Charles Reynolds after the first run. Up to the line comes Charles Reynolds in the Cooper Mark 7 1100cc machine. Oh, very sideways there, Mark Dent, but manages to pull it all together, but that will surely have cost him time. He is really pushing. He comes up to the line and does a 56.95, so in fact drops 0.2 of a second over his first run time. So Charles Reynolds has the class in the bag as he goes away now. I'm sure he'd like to improve on his time if he can though. Next up it is 8:41 Vic Dean in a 500 Cooper Mark 9. Charles Reynolds then comes around Ettori's little puff of smoke as he powers it away from the hairpin into the left-hander, and at the moment he is quicker. He's improving on his first run time currently as he goes through midway. Drops a little bit of time through midway compared to his first run. On through the S as he comes, looking to better 51.40 as Vic Dean in the 500cc machine comes up through Ettores. 52.16 for Charles Reynolds, so losing time there in the closing section of the hill, but nevertheless has the better of the 1100cc times as Rick Dean continues his way up the hill. Was in third place, needs to find a little over a second to get ahead of Richard Robarts, who is currently second. Doesn't look like he's going to do it though. He records a 54.71. In fact, about a quarter of a second slower than his first run. He remains in third place. So now we move on to the Bugatti Owners Club member and all-comers handicap. And the first car on the hill, David Saxel in the Riley TT Sprite. So your position determined by either how much you can improve on your handicap time set by our very experienced handicappers, or indeed how much over your handicap time you are, rather than just your actual time on the hill. Plenty of smoke coming out the back of that Riley TT Sprite at the moment as he continues up. He looks as if he is improving on his actual time over his first run, as Maxwell Brearley-Jones brings the TR7 V8 up to the line in the classic Leyland red, white and blue livery. Away goes Maxwell. David Saxel was in fifth place with a 65.03 after the first run, and finds a second and a half to do a 63.54 as the TR7 rounds Ettores. Maxwell leading the class at the end of the first runs. David Pryke goes away in the Fraser Nash Super Sport. Maxwell Brearley-Jones going quicker than his first run at the moment. On the line is the 157 machine as Maxwell comes towards the finish line and does a 50.04. So finds over a second and a half on his first run. As the Fraser Nash in the hands of David Pryke comes around Pardon, and he is improving on his first run at the moment. David Pryke, this is, who was quickest anyway with a 56.35 on the first run. Chris Tabor in the Riley Special is around Ettores and on up towards Pardon. Then on the line it is Tom Richardson in the Gypsy GN Special, car 158. And David Pryke not able to match his first run, 56.71, but still has, well, on scratch times he has a second advantage over Tom Richardson, but we don't know, of course, on handicap times how that will compare. Mark Pontin brings his Cooper T59 up to the line as Chris Tabor does a 61.22, so he's about 3/10 down on his first run. Tom Richardson safely around Ettores into Pardon now in the Gypsy GN Special as Mark gets underway in the Cooper. Coming up to the line, it's 163 Ian Baxter. Ian in the Brabham BT16. What can Tom Richardson do? He was lying second in scratch times after the first run. And in fact, on scratch times, he is the quickest with a 56.02, a third of a second quicker than David Pryke. But as I say, when the handicaps are applied, that could all change. David Rose lines up in his Lotus 18 Formula Junior car. Mark Pontin coming towards the end of his run in the Cooper T59. Did a 57.36 on his first run. Baxter did a 46.98 on his first run in the BT16. David Rose around to Torres. And Ian improves by half a second, does a 46.46. So certainly on scratch times, very impressive. He's over 6 seconds ahead of anyone else, but as I say, that doesn't mean a lot until we see what the effect of the handicaps is. David Rose still continuing on his way up the hill in the Formula Junior car. Now he was in second place on scratch times with a 52.98 and comes to the finish line, and he improves by about 4/10. He does a 52.56. So next out it is car 165, the very nice Buckler 90. The car of Carl Talbot. And away goes Carl then in the Buckler 90. And up to the line comes the unique Lancia Aurelia single-seater, the car of Dominic Hentel. So, and a very interesting layout. It looks like an extremely long car with seemingly a lot of transmission behind the engine. Really does look very different from anything else you might say, as Carl Talbot goes around Pardon, Dominic Hentel goes away from the line, and up to the line comes 168, Peter Joy in the Lotus 7. Dominic Hentel cleanly around Torres. Carl Talbot is looking to improve on a 60.49 on his first run, and does so. He does a 59.78. That's Dominic Hentel on his way. Peter Joy coming up towards the Torres now in the Lotus 7, and on the line it is Mark Wojtanowski in the Morris Mini Cooper Historic Rally car, number 169. Dominic Hentel looking to better 56.46 and does so by some way. Does a 54.98. Makes him fourth quickest, but only on scratch times, not on handicap. 170 up to the line now is the MG Midget of Peter Clark. As Mark Wojtanowski lifting the back wheel as he comes around the Torres in the Mini. Peter Joy does a 58.20, and he's found over half a second, about 2/3 of a second between runs there. Carl Nichols sits on the start line in the Nike Mark IV Formula Ford car. As Peter Clark heads away from Torres. Pardon, Carl Nichols goes away. Mark Wojtanowski meanwhile does a 56.37, so that's just 0.04 of a second slower than his first run. Les Buck brings the Pringett Mistral Formula Ford car to the start line. Number 174, as Carl Nichols powers out of Torres in the Nike and on up towards Pardon. 53.53 for Peter Clark, which is well, about 0.16 of a second slower than his first run. Carl Nichols powering their way through in the Nike as Les Buck gets away from the start line. And up to the line comes car 175, that's Robert Blackstock in the MGB GT. As Les Buck comes up to the Torres. Carl Nicholas is a 56.76. So that is 7/10ths down on the first run. Robert Blackstock heads away. Les Buck did a 50.660 on his first run. Doesn't seem to be matching that time at the moment. Pete Fletcher lines up now in that red, white and blue TR7 V8, car 876. As Robert Blackstock brings the MGB GT around Ettores. And Les Buck does a 51.39, so 3/4 of a second slower than his first run. Fletcher gets away in the TR7 V8 and the rather unusual specification Renault Alpine A110 of Simon Derlin, not with the V6 motor but with the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, is on the line. Tim Jeffrey, in fact, in that car. Robert Blackstock. So the Alpine heading up towards Pardon. There's a lock-up going into there. As Will Goff gets off the line in the Ford Sierra Cosworth. We are hoping, as I said before, that as soon as the competition runs are complete, we will see a demonstration run for the BRM. And then to round the day off, we will have a Tour d'Honneur for the fastest time of the day. We'll let you know who that is in due course. As Johnny Holm sits on the line in the Renault 5 GT Turbo Coupe. Wolgoff, they're going through towards the S's as away goes the Renault 5. And up the line comes car 180, that's Howard Harman in the MGTC. So car 179 comes out of Ettores and around Pardon. Johnny Helm did a 57.07 first time out. Maxwell Brearley Jones picking up 1 2/3 seconds on his run. Pete Fletcher picked up 3/10. Tim Jeffrey not quite able to match his first run time. And I think we have the Howard Harman, I think, is the last competition car on the hill. We'll double check that, but as I say, with the all-important demonstration run by the BRM still to come, and also the Tour d'Honneur, and I'll tell you who that will be for in just a moment, as Howard Harman goes up towards and around Pardon in the MGTC. Talbot, one of the other drivers that's improved their time from run 1 to run 2, from a 60.49 to 59.78. Howard Harman does a 66.77, which is 4/10 slower than his first run. So that, I think, is the last of the competition runs. The Tour d'Honneur will be for our fastest time. That's car number 83, David Hampton in the Formula Atlantic special specification Lotus 69. So we're just waiting to hear sounds of BRM firing up and then we'll know that we're going to get a demonstration run by that amazing 16 cylinder 1.5 litre car. Don't forget that if you're not able to join us in person here tomorrow, it will all be live on HillClimb.TV once again tomorrow, so you can keep up to things there. Obviously we'd be delighted to see you here at Prescott, but well, if you're in Australia, then maybe it's a little bit far to travel, so you can watch it all once again on HillClimb.TV. And that sounds distinctly like a 16-cylinder BRM to me that is about to make its way out onto the track after two unsuccessful attempts. Well, it's worth the wait just for that sound. Amazing sound from the 16-cylinder BRM. Heads up the hill. Comes up towards Historique. What a beautiful machine. It looks great, it sounds great. You just can't fault it. It is fantastic to see it out there. Powers away from Historique, on up to Bob, into the left-hander. And away from there, on up to Midway, through the S's. And then into Sammy as he continues his way through the S's, a little bit wide on the exit, but he's all okay. Into Sammy and around there, up to the finish line, and the BRM V16 completes a demonstration run, and one of the high spots of the day for me personally, just to see that. Still, though, we have a Tour d'Honneur to come. And that will be, as I say, car 83, David Hampton, the Lotus 69. Don't forget that the awards will be handed out as soon as it is practical, as David goes up the hill. And give him a wave and a round of applause. Show your appreciation for his efforts as he goes up the hill. Awards will take place as soon as practically possible in the Bugatti Owners Club Clubhouse in the paddock, and you're all very, very welcome to join that. Chris Ponsford will be hosting those awards, and I say not too long to wait for them if you want to stay and see those. And then the action will be back from 8:30 tomorrow morning with practice and full rounds. We've got an extra category. I think we've got some Allards as well joining us tomorrow, which should be well worth seeing. We'll have a whole day of on the hill action, plenty going on, as you know, in the paddock, etc. And spoilt for things, for choice, spoilt for things to look at. We hope that we will see you back here tomorrow. In the meantime, have a safe journey home. For myself and Peter Hughes, for my colleagues, Chris Ponsford and Chris Druitt, thank you very much for your support today. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you very soon once again, hopefully tomorrow. Have a good trip back, and good evening.